Chapter 151. Crow Bites Turtle. Southern Wilderness, Mountain Turtle Tribe. Springtime, the great mushrooms in the mushroom forest grow abundantly, including divine mushrooms, strength mushrooms, and other magic mushrooms. This is the harvest season for the mountain turtle tribe, and with these magical mushrooms, they can trade for all sorts of good things from other tribes. March 6th in the morning. Jiang led over 100 warriors and 2 great mountain turtles back from the mushroom forest. Everyone's face was full of joy. Clearly last night's harvest was quite successful. Leader, this time we've picked quite a few luminous mushrooms. Can we trade with the beaver tribe for some ice lotus? The beaver tribe, also a small tribe in the Great Swamp, numbering about 600, with a large water otter as its totem god, has a territory with a large population of water otters. The ice lotus is a specialty of the beaver tribe. The ice lotus is dredged from the deep waters by the large water otter, is transparent like crystal, sweet, cool, and crisp to eat. In the hot weather, eating a piece of ice lotus would make anyone feel cool and refreshed. Most importantly, this ice lotus is beneficial for enhancing the warrior's strength, which is the main reason the warriors have always longed for it. For the normally struggling tribe members, something that can both enhance strength and bring joy has enormous appeal. In a good mood, Jiang waved his hand and said, "All right, when the people from the beaver tribe come, we will trade for ice lotus." The warriors all chuckled merrily, some already beginning to miss the taste of ice lotus. Caw, caw, caw. As they approached the mountain turtle tribe, Jiang suddenly heard the sound of crows and chaotic battle noises. Jiang's expression changed, and he quickly climbed to the highest tree nearby. Soon, he saw countless large crows and strangers from another tribe attacking the mountain turtle tribe. Not good. In a hurry, Jiang leapt from the treetop, agile as a monkey, grabbing several branches and swinging down to the ground. "The tribe is under attack. Hurry back." After shouting, Jiang dashed towards the tribe. The 100-plus warriors' expressions changed too, immediately following Jiang in a run. Most astonishing were the 2 great mountain turtles that carried loads of mushrooms yet ran quickly, even able to catch up with Jiang. When Jiang led more than 100 warriors to the mountain turtle tribe, countless mountain turtles were already carrying members of the turtle tribe and fighting against the warriors of the crow tribe. Caw, caw, caw. Countless large crows swirled overhead, periodically diving down savagely to peck or claw at people. As Jiang approached, a large crow immediately dove towards him, its sharp claws grabbing fiercely. However, the large crow never expected Jiang to squat down directly. Jiang wore a thick turtle shell with a back shell and chest shell, often appearing quite comical. But now, this seemingly humorous turtle shell was serving its true purpose. Once Jiang squatted down, he instantly withdrew into the shell, with his head and limbs out of sight. Scratch, scratch. The large crow's claws hit the turtle shell directly, leaving only a few faint marks, while Jiang remained unscathed. Just as the large crow missed its attack and prepared to fly away, Jiang suddenly stood up, wielding a long spear and stabbing fiercely at the large crow. Caw! The large crow let out a miserable cry, its entire body pierced through by the spear, clearly unable to survive. Jiang pulled back the spear and continued charging forward. At this time, the 2 great mountain turtles joined him, resembling 2 small mountains, following Jiang as they advanced. The warriors of the crow tribe ahead were completely unable to withstand the charge of a 4-color warrior and 2 great mountain turtles, quickly being knocked over in waves. With their leader and the 2 great mountain turtles clearing the way, the 100-plus warriors behind had it much easier, merely needing to follow and charge. Soon, they forcefully tore open the encirclement and charged into the mountain turtle tribe at the fastest speed. In fact, the mountain turtle tribe and crow tribe had just started the battle, with neither side suffering many casualties. The mountain turtle tribe was relatively small, with only over 800 tribe members, whereas the crow tribe had over 3,000, confidently believing they would win. But once the true attack began, they realized things were not as simple as they seemed. The reason was the mountain turtle tribe's seemingly lazy heap of mountain turtles. The fighting power of these mountain turtles far exceeded the crow tribe's expectations. With their large and hard shells, they formed a large circle once the battle started, protecting the mountain turtle tribe inside. Anyone daring to approach would get violently rammed, bitten at a rapid pace with tremendous bite force. And remote attacks were ineffective, as they could swiftly retract into their heavy shells, making it hard for arrows and short spears to impact them. Those large crows facing the mountain turtles had no idea where to start pecking. Even more extraordinary was the totem god of the mountain turtle tribe. It stood like an iron mountain in the tribe, withstanding the flights and even fire attacks of the crow tribe's totem god with negligible effect. Chapter 152. The Crow Bites the Turtle 2. The divine power of the old mountain turtle formed a turquoise shield in the shape of a turtle shell, with a terrifyingly high defense power. Because of this, even though Shan Jia took away more than 100 warriors, the mountain turtle tribe still held off the fierce attack from the crow tribe, causing the crow tribe's assault to be fruitless for half a day. Caw, caw, caw. The crow god flew back and forth in the sky irritably. Even when battling the jackal god, it hadn't been this exhausting. Whoosh! The crow god spat out another divine fire, with such a terrifying temperature that the air twisted, as if it intended to roast the entire mountain turtle tribe. Buzz! Yet, the extremely thick defensive shield on the turtle god merely rippled like water, and the divine fire couldn't reach below. Not only that, the turtle god slowly extended its head to a nearby stream, then quickly absorbed the water. You could see the water level of the stream dropping rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye, and it even dried up briefly, with the water from the great swamp being unable to flow over in time. Puff, puff, puff. The turtle god raised its head and, like a high-pressure water gun, sprayed a column of water persistently at the fire-breathing crow in the sky. Caw, caw. The crow god never expected this old mountain turtle to have such a trick up its sleeve. For a moment, it was forced to fly around frantically, extremely embarrassed. While the crow god had enough strength to dodge, the large crows flying all over the sky were not so fortunate. Those hit by the water column were first dazedly propelled into the sky, then flapped their wet wings helplessly, falling crookedly to the ground. Just as Shan Jia rushed into the tribe, he saw the turtle god displaying great power and most of the tribe members safe and sound, allowing him to relax his tense heart. Chief, you're finally back. The witch from the mountain turtle tribe approached Shan Jia, and upon seeing him unharmed, breathed a sigh of relief. Witch, what exactly happened? Who knows? This crow tribe suddenly appeared and attacked like crazy. If it weren't for the turtle god and these mountain turtles, we would have been in danger. What should we do now? Shan Jia asked. The turtle god's idea is that after you return, we should rush into the great swamp to hide. They have many people, and we can't withstand them for long. The mountain turtle tribe's population is relatively small, and although they temporarily held the line, they were only able to defensively react. If the crow tribe was determined to keep attacking, they surely wouldn't hold out for long. Shan Jia frowned. Do we give up our territory? The witch waved his hand and said, the turtle god said that once the tribe members are safe, it will come back to reclaim the territory. The crow tribe wanting to occupy our land is out of the question. All right, since the turtle god has already decided, have the tribe members pack up and prepare to rush into the great swamp. Shan Jia immediately gave the order for all non-participating tribe members to pack up everything they could take and prepare to retreat into the great swamp. In an instant, the entire mountain turtle tribe was bustling with activity. They packed up food, weapons, tools, clothing, and other items to take with them, making efforts to hide what they couldn't take so the crow tribe wouldn't get them. A few hours later, the clan members of the mountain turtle tribe, who had finished packing and had no fighting ability, climbed onto the turtle god's incredibly wide back with their belongings, while those capable of fighting rode the large mountain turtles. Roar! The turtle god let out a deep roar from its throat, causing all the mountain turtles to gather around it, carrying the warriors. Boom, boom, boom. Once all the mountain turtles gathered, the turtle god, with its incredibly sturdy legs, immediately ran towards the great swamp, followed by hundreds of large mountain turtles, presenting a spectacular sight. Get out of the way. The Crow tribe leader, upon seeing this scene, felt a shiver down his spine and immediately yelled at the warriors in front of the turtle god. In fact, there was no need for him to shout, as the Crow tribe warriors, upon seeing the turtle god rushing towards them, had already retreated. But the turtle god was too fast, and a dozen unlucky ones didn't have time to run before being either knocked flying or trampled into mush, meeting a tragic fate. Caw, caw, caw. The crow god gave chase, but it was futile. The turtle god's defense was monstrous, making it impossible to know where to attack. Splash, splash, splash. Soon, the turtle god entered the water and moved into the great swamp. The large mountain turtles, carrying the warriors, followed suit, entering the water one by one and swimming with the turtle god into the depths of the great swamp. The crow god pursued them for a while, but eventually gave up in frustration. The warriors of the Crow tribe were unable to enter the water and could only watch the mountain turtle tribe leave, shooting a few arrows at their retreating figures out of spite. The witch of the Crow tribe, standing next to the leader, said, "Although we didn't kill them, they have fled, so this territory is now ours." The Crow tribe leader nodded, feeling slightly better about the situation. That's right, attacking the mountain turtle tribe was much more difficult than expected, but they fled after all, which achieved their goal of taking over this territory. Let's go. The Crow tribe leader waved his hand grandly, leading nearly 3,000 Crow tribe members to move into the mountain turtle tribe settlement. With so many people moving in, there weren't enough houses from the mountain turtle tribe, so they quickly built some simple shelters for the tribe to temporarily reside in, planning to start construction the following day. Looking at this new territory, the Crow tribe leader and the witch were quite satisfied. It was a place well suited for habitation. Chapter 153. The Crow Bites the Turtle 3. On the other side, the turtle god led numerous mountain turtles to an island deep within the great swamp. This island was home to many swamp creatures, including fierce birds and water beasts, as well as various poisonous insects and snakes. But when the turtle god arrived, these fierce birds and water beasts, along with the poisonous insects and snakes, fled in a frenzy, not daring to linger on the island. The turtle god stood beside the island and let the turtle tribe people down. The mountain turtles also climbed onto the island and temporarily settled here. The turtle god lifted its head, exchanged a few words with the witch of the mountain turtle tribe, and then departed again. After the turtle god had gone far, Shanja asked the witch, "What did the turtle god say?" The turtle god said it would go back to drive away the Crow tribe, and once they've gone, it will come to take us back home. Shanja nodded, looked at the island again, and said, "Then we shall settle here for now." Immediately, Shanja organized the tribe to chop wood and build houses, settle down, and temporarily reside on this island. Meanwhile, the turtle god swam back to the territory of the mountain turtle tribe, quietly staying in the water to observe the situation on the shore. At this moment, the Crow tribe was fervently preparing to settle here long-term, with nearly 3,000 tribe members bustling about with various tasks. Some were chopping wood, some hunting, some building houses, some starting fires. And the Crow god was leading a large flock of crows to select new big trees, planning to build a huge crow's nest for more comfortable living. However, the Crow tribe did not let down their guard. They kept many warriors on guard, ready to respond at any time to the possible return of the mountain turtle tribe. The turtle god was not in a hurry. It patiently lurked underwater, with only its nostrils slightly above the surface. If one did not approach, no one could discover it. Gradually, night fell, and the Crow tribe, having been busy for most of the day, finally settled down in the mountain turtle tribe's territory. They were happy for having seized a new territory and were discussing how many small tribes were nearby and when to raid them. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. After nightfall, all the big crows flew up to the trees. They too needed rest at night. The The crow god occupied the biggest tree, waiting to command the big crows to weave nests at dawn. Late at night, most of the crow tribe, exhausted from their efforts, were deeply asleep, with only a few warriors keeping watch, but they were also too weary to be alert. Rustle, rustle. In the great swamp, the turtle god climbed ashore quietly. Its movements were gentle, and the sound of water was not loud. But then it started a big commotion. Boom, boom, boom. After coming ashore, the turtle god spread its 4 large, thick legs and rushed quickly into the tribe, causing the ground to tremble. Oh no, it's that big turtle. The watchful warriors had just shouted a few words when the turtle god charged over, opened its mouth, and bit down, instantly crushing a crow tribe warrior to pieces and swallowing him. Then it went on a rampage, crashing through the tribe, slaughtering crow tribe warriors and people. Caw, caw, caw. From the big tree, the crow god angrily flew down to engage in a fierce battle with the turtle god once more. However, the turtle god did not engage in a prolonged fight, causing destruction everywhere, then turning away and re-entering the great swamp, leaving behind a field of corpses. With this, the entire crow tribe couldn't sleep anymore, the cries, curses, and shrieks blending into one. Chapter 154, Can't Bear It. On the second day, the people of the crow tribe, weary but determined, repaired their homes, went hunting, and worked tirelessly to establish roots for their tribe here. They thought that the giant turtle had come for revenge and shouldn't appear again afterwards. However, little did they expect that the nightmare was just beginning. By noon, the sun blazed overhead as half of the crow tribe was hunting and gathering in the vicinity to meet the terrifying food consumption of 3,000 people. However, while they were cooking, a massive mountain turtle suddenly emerged from the great swamp, charging swiftly into the residential area. The big turtle is here again. The crow tribe's warriors shouted frantically, attacking the turtle god with long spears, short spears, bows, arrows, and stone-throwing ropes. Yet their attacks proved useless against the turtle god. Caw, caw, caw. The crow god was furious and immediately flew down from the trees, ready to attack this vile old mountain turtle. However, the ground was filled with people from the crow tribe, and if the crow god dared to spray divine fire, the first ones to burn would be those people. Boom, boom, boom. The turtle god, completely ignoring the crow god, had an extremely keen sense of smell, accurately detecting the house where cooking was happening and charged directly towards it. Bang, bang, bang. One by one, the houses were knocked down, and the pottery cauldrons cooking food were shattered into pieces by the turtle god. Even those grilling meats could not escape. Food, our food. Chasing the turtle god, the leader of the crow tribe, seeing this scene, felt his blood rush to his head and his eyes redden. The weary and hungry crow tribe's warriors shared the same feelings. Everyone frantically attacked the turtle god, hoping to stop its actions. Yet, the turtle god's defense was terrifyingly high, stubbornly weathering an onslaught of warriors, a swarm of crows, and the crow god's attacks, and mowing through the residential area, destroying the crow tribe's cooking utensils and food supplies. Roar! Having done all this, the turtle god let out a joyful roar and swiftly ran back into the great swamp. Splash, splash! Water splashed everywhere in the great swamp as the turtle god submerged and soon disappeared without a trace. Even the crow god could not track where it went. Caw, caw, caw. The crow god watched as the turtle god vanished, fuming until smoke seemed to pour from its 7 orifices as it flew over the great swamp. The crow god was not simple-minded. It thought of flying into the great swamp to attack the people of the mountain turtle tribe like the turtle god. However, it couldn't determine where the turtle god had gone. What if it had just flown away, and the turtle god came ashore and wiped out the crow tribe? Even if it managed to destroy the mountain turtle tribe, it would only result in mutual ruin with more tribe members still of the crow tribe. To deal with a tribe, one must first solve the issue of their totem god. Otherwise, it would be a nightmare. Especially, it is terrifying when the totem god is one that cannot be killed, like the turtle god, It is a nightmare within a nightmare. The crow god would rather battle the terrifying jackal god than fight this turtle with its insane defense. So, the crow god flew around, vented its anger by eating a few water beasts, but could only helplessly return to the trees. Meanwhile, the people of the crow tribe faced collapsed homes, food that couldn't be eaten, and the fear of not knowing when the old turtle would return. Such torment could drive one mad. The witch of the crow tribe busied themselves with treating the injured tribesmen and calming their emotions. The leader of the crow tribe, in despair, led the warriors to hunt for food once again, eagerly bringing back anything edible to at least somewhat fill the bellies of the tribe. Upon returning from the hunt, looking at the pitifully small amount of prey, the leader couldn't help but seek the witch of the crow tribe, saying, "Witch, with that big turtle coming by now and then, we can't live here anymore. Shouldn't we find another place?" The warriors nearby nodded in agreement upon hearing this. Living in fear, unable to eat or sleep, was torment every second. However, the witch of the crow tribe said, "The crow god will surely find a way to deal with that big turtle. Everyone, please be patient a bit longer. This place is very good. The threats nearby have almost been cleared by the mountain turtle tribe, and the water source is abundant. It is an ideal dwelling place." And the witch didn't want to give up, nor did the crow god. The leader of the crow tribe felt greatly disappointed, but had no choice and could only hope that the crow god actually find a way to handle that big turtle. Thus, the day passed quickly, and until the sun set, the big turtle did not reappear, allowing the people of the crow tribe to breathe a slight sigh of relief. After dark, the members of the crow tribe who had finally found some food began cooking again. But with no pottery cauldrons left, whether it is wild vegetables or beast meat, they could only roast them. The aroma of food gradually spread, and the hungry members of the crow tribe were eager to eat. Yet, just at that moment, the nightmare descended once again. Splash, splash. In the great swamp, the familiar sound of water echoed, and a gigantic mountain turtle rushed towards them rapidly. "The big turtle is here again." The anguish-filled warriors of the crow tribe shouted in rage, wielding their weapons and charging towards the turtle god. Caw, caw, caw. This time, the crow god reacted quickly, immediately descending with a swarm of crows upon hearing the sound of water, attacking the giant turtle frantically with claws and beaks. However, the turtle god was enveloped in a thick protective barrier, rendering all attacks ineffective. Chapter 155, Can't Stand It Too. Boom! The turtle god advanced like a tank, once again crushing all the food painstakingly collected by the crow tribe in a powder, mixing it with the mud and stones. Not only that, it also opened its giant mouth and occasionally devoured a few tribal warriors of the crow tribe. After a swift run, it dove back into the great swamp without hesitation, leaving the crow tribe furious and helpless. The crow tribe leader punched a large tree, creating a deep pit. The tree shook violently, dropping a lot of dead branches and leaves. Had it not been big enough, it might have snapped in half. However, it was all in vain. The crow tribe leader with bloodshot eyes found the witch and said, "Witch, if we continue living here, that giant turtle will kill all of our people. Can you talk to the crow god and find another place to live?" The crow tribes, which was also feeling helpless. He closed his eyes and communicated with the equally furious crow god. Despite the anger, the crow god did not lose its rationale, knowing that stubbornly fighting would only lead to heavy losses for the crow tribe. Soon, the crow tribes which opened his eyes and said, "The crow god has agreed. We will leave at dawn." The crow tribe leader breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Then I will have our people prepare." The exhausted and hungry members of the crow tribe were moved to tears upon hearing the news of migration. Previously, they feared migration, but now they just wanted to leave this place quickly to avoid that old turtle. That night, the starving members of the crow tribe, holding torches, ate almost everything edible in the vicinity, mostly without even grilling, just eating it raw. They were thoroughly tormented by that old turtle. After barely filling their stomachs, the Crow tribe members quickly fell asleep in their dilapidated houses. They were so hungry and tired from dealing with the turtle god, they could hardly endure any longer. But they never expected the turtle god to come again in the middle of the night. This time, the warriors of the Crow tribe no longer tried to fight against the turtle god. Instead, they avoided it because those who favored fighting had already been killed by the turtle god. Even the Crow god only launched a symbolic attack before watching the turtle god leave again. That night, the Crow tribe members once more did not sleep well. Any slight disturbance would frighten them awake from their dreams, especially the sound of water, which had formed a psychological shadow over them. Finally enduring until dawn, the Crow tribe immediately packed up their belongings and departed this nightmare place. As they left, the Crow god cast a resentful glance back, vowing to find a way to kill this old mountain turtle when the chance arose. After the Crow tribe had left, the turtle god, which had been hiding in the water, appeared again, but this time it did not come ashore, instead patiently waiting. It waited until the next day, ensuring that the Crow tribe would not return, and then leisurely swam into the great swamp to bring back the people of the mountain turtle tribe to their home. When Shan Jia and the others set foot on their territory again, they were incredibly excited. But upon seeing the numerous collapsed houses and the overall chaos, they angrily blamed the Crow tribe for it. If they ever encountered people from the Crow tribe again, it would be a death feud with no mercy. The turtle god lay back in the center of the tribe, while the warriors of the mountain turtle tribe began to rebuild the village, busily engaged. As for the Crow tribe, they attacked 3 places but were unlucky to fail each time. Not only did they not seize any food or land, but they continually lost warriors and supplies. Since leaving the mountain turtle tribe, their population had dwindled to just over 2,000, and they were exhausted and hungry, in very poor condition, suffering heavy losses. They continued south along the Great Swamp, looking for a more suitable place to settle. By this time, they no longer dreamed of conquering a small tribe to secure a large number of resources and territory. In fact, if they failed a few more times, they might not even survive as the Crow tribe. After walking along the Great Swamp for a few days, they finally found a place that seemed more suitable to reside. Ironically, this location was the same one the Mosquito tribe had once chosen as their settlement. The Crow tribe leader entered the area once inhabited by the Mosquito tribe. It was now covered in tall grasses and vines, obscuring the ruins unless viewed up close. Since the Vine tribe had conquered the Mosquito tribe, most of the houses had collapsed, and over time, the wood was eaten away by various insects, rotting easily. It seems like there used to be a tribe here, but they have moved away. The Crow tribe leader looked around and found the place to be satisfactory. He also noticed part of a nearby mountain had collapsed, and there was a deep pit, but he paid it no mind. He never imagined that the collapsed mountain and deep pit were the work of the vine god. After inspecting the area, the Crow tribe leader returned to his people and sought out the witch. This place was once inhabited by a tribe, but they left long ago. I think we can live here. Can you ask the Crow god? The Crow tribes which nodded and immediately communicated with the Crow god. Soon, the Crow tribes which opened his eyes and said, "The Crow god has agreed. We can settle here." The Crow tribe leader breathed a sigh of relief, finally not needing to wander around anymore. "Let's get to work." He immediately commanded the warriors to clear the weeds, cut down trees, and build houses. The Crow god, as usual, selected the tallest tree and perched on a suitable branch, while the other big crows roost in the surrounding trees. These trees would become the new home for the big crows. Thus, the Crow tribe temporarily settled, surrounded by many birds and beasts with abundant food. They no longer had to endure hunger and fear. Southern Wilderness, Vine tribe. Build the field ridges sturdy and make sure they don't leak water. By the stream, Jiang Xuan was directing the planting team to transform a low-lying cropland into a paddy field. Since discovering last year that crystal rice favored damp soil, Jiang Xuan conceived the idea of constructing paddy fields. As it was time to plant red crystal rice this year, It was a perfect opportunity for experimentation. Jiang Xuan planned to plant a field of red crystal rice using the rice planting method. If successful, the yield of red crystal rice might surpass previous levels. Even if it failed, it would not matter, as the experimental field was just a small part. The rest of the red crystal rice would still be planted in moist, well-lit soil, promising a fruitful harvest with good weather. Of course, as the captain of the planting team, Gan Song, who had always been farming, was still quite anxious about planting red crystal rice in water. "Chief, won't the red crystal rice get spoiled if it's soaked in water?" Gan Song had accumulated some farming experience, knowing that many crops had roots that would rot if planted in waterlogged areas, making them impossible to grow. Jiang Xuan replied, "I don't know either, which is why we have to try it out." Gan Song, just like when we planted stone eggs, how would we know if they're suitable for a location without multiple attempts? Gan Song replied sheepishly, "I'm just afraid of wasting precious red crystal rice." Jiang Xuan laughed. "Where there is effort, there will be reward. In experiments, waste is inevitable, but once we succeed, even once, the payoff will be enormous." "You're right, Chief. I'm being too stingy." Gan Song stopped arguing, joining Jiang Xuan in building the field ridges and figuring out how to cultivate red crystal rice in the paddy fields. Jiang Xuan and the team worked to level the paddy's mud as evenly as possible, then dug a channel from the stream, directing water to irrigate the new fields. Once the water in the paddy fields reached about 10 centimeters deep, Jiang Xuan blocked the inlet. Jiang Xuan told Gan Song, "Paddy fields are quite like ponds. When newly constructed, they tend to leak water, so we need to mix the mud in the field well and seal the ridges with sticky clay." Then, Jiang Xuan personally took a bone hoe and slowly scooped the mud, softened by water, onto the ridge, smoothing it out. Gan Song also helped, both disregarding the mud, using the bone hoe, and even their hands to seal the ridges. After finishing, Jiang Xuan washed the mud off his hands and returned to the tribe to start seed cultivation. He soaked a portion of the red crystal rice seeds destined for the paddy for half a day, then put them into a porous beast hide bag, hanging it from the roof beam near the hearth. Next, all that was left was to patiently wait and see if the red crystal rice would sprout successfully. Chapter 156, Bell Peppers and Black Pearl Beans. Jiang Xuan would observe the red crystal rice seeds hanging from the beam every day, hoping they would germinate smoothly. First day, second day, third day, the seeds showed no sign of movement. Jiang Xuan felt a bit anxious. Could the soaking method for sprouting not be viable? But they were already soaked, and he had no choice but to patiently wait. Until the fifth day, Jiang Xuan woke up early, opened the beast hide bag, and unexpectedly found that almost all the red crystal rice inside had sprouted, their sizes and lengths remarkably consistent. Turns out it just needed more time. "I thought they were ruined by soaking." Jiang Xuan breathed a sigh of relief, picked up a seed, and observed it carefully for a moment, then returned it to the beast hide bag with satisfaction. Then he took down the beast hide bag and walked toward the prepared water field. This small bag of red crystal rice, as experimental seeds, was planted into the water field after sprouting. The rest of the red crystal rice was planted in the ground according to the original method, but hadn't sprouted yet. "Chief, did the red crystal rice successfully sprout?" Not far away, Gan Song saw Jiang Xuan coming over and hurriedly inquired, concerned about the soaked seeds. "It succeeded. Take a look." Jiang Xuan opened the beast hide bag, revealing the plump red crystal rice seeds inside, each having grown a tender sprout. Gan Song picked up a seed, looked at it happily for a while, and said, "It really sprouted. That's wonderful." Jiang Xuan said, "Now we can plant them. Let's plant them now." Jiang Xuan and Gan Song went into the water field. The water field had already been divided into many rows, with drainage ditches dug between two rows. Now, most of the water in the field had been drained, with only a small amount in the ditches, but the soil was very moist. Jiang Xuan entered the field barefoot, then together with Gan Song, planted the red crystal rice seed from the beast hide bag into the field, one by one. The red crystal rice plants were very tall, unlike rice, which could be planted densely, sufficient spacing had to be maintained. Therefore, although Jiang Xuan's beast hide bag didn't hold many seeds, planting them all covered more than half an acre. After planting, Jiang Xuan and Gonsong washed the mud off their hands and feet by the creek. Jiang Xuan said, "Now that we've just planted them, don't flood the field, keep water in the ditch, and once the red crystal rice forms roots and grows stable, then start trying to flood the field." Jiang Xuan thought for a moment and continued, "Flooding the entire field is still risky. Let's do this. Once they're stable, use mud to surround 2 plants and try flooding them with water to see if they'll drown. If the red crystal rice drowns, it means water can't cover its roots, but if it doesn't drown and continues to grow, it means it's not afraid of water, and we can flood the entire field." Gonsong nodded on the side and said, "Chief, I got it memorized." Jiang Xuan laughed. "No need to be nervous. These red crystal rice seeds are just a small portion. Even if the experiment fails, it won't matter. We can still harvest a large amount of red crystal rice in the autumn. Of course, it's best if it succeeds, proving our method is correct. If the yield from the water field is higher than from the ground, that would be fantastic." After hearing Jiang Xuan's words, Gonsong was already looking forward to the red crystal rice harvest from the water field. "All right, I'll head back now. Take good care of the water field." "Rest assured, Chief, I'll definitely take good care of these red crystal rice." Jiang Xuan finished washing his hands and feet, turned around, and left, while Gonsong hoped that the already sprouted red crystal rice would grow quickly and that the water field experiment would succeed. Jiang Xuan's mood was not as tense as Gonsong's. The fruits of red crystal rice were ear-like. One plant could produce several ears, roughly with hundreds of grains, each grain as large as a red date, with an astonishingly high yield. As long as no natural disaster or human calamity occurs, and the red crystal rice grows and matures normally, this year's harvest for Vine Tribe would be enormous. The red crystal rice alone might fill the existing granaries. If other crops also have a good harvest, more granaries might need to be built. So, regardless of whether the experiment with half an acre of red crystal rice succeeds or fails, Jiang Xuan can accept it. Back at the bamboo grove courtyard, Jiang Xuan went inside, took out 2 other important seeds, colorful peppers and black pearl beans. These were things the old witch brought back from outside last year, in small quantities, which Jiang Xuan dried and stored separately in pottery jars. He first opened the first pottery jar and took out a string of dried, colorful peppers. The colorful peppers were multicolored, with nearly every fruit differing slightly, extremely spicy, which Jiang Xuan had tasted personally last year. Jiang Xuan suspected that the colorful peppers were one of southern wilderness's native peppers, but didn't know how their yield was. Chili peppers are something that those who like it love intensely, while those who don't avoid it closely. Jiang Xuan happened to be one of those who loved them, and he had long missed that stimulating taste. Crack! Jiang Xuan broke a thumb-sized dried, colorful pepper. A rush of stimulating spiciness spread instantly, while revealing the seeds inside. The seeds of colorful pepper were similar to the chili seeds Jiang Xuan had seen in his previous life, very small, with 1 thumb-sized colorful pepper containing about dozens of seeds. Jiang Xuan gently scraped off these seeds and continued to break open another colorful pepper to scrape the seeds. Chapter 157, Bell Peppers and Black Pearl Beans 2. After scraping a bunch of dried colored peppers, Jiang Xuan obtained hundreds of seeds. He took these seeds to the vegetable garden in the courtyard. This vegetable garden had been cleaned up long ago, with the stones, roots, bamboo roots, and grass roots nearly all removed. At the same time, Jiang Xuan had dug up a lot of black fertile soil from the forest and spread a layer on the vegetable garden. He squatted in the garden, patiently planting dozens of colored pepper seeds one by one, covering them with a thin layer of soil. As for the remaining colored pepper seeds, following the principle of not putting all eggs in one basket, he would plant them in different fields so that even if one place didn't work, other places could make up for it. After all, there were only so many colored pepper seeds, and if something unexpected happened to them all in one place, it would be too late to cry. After planting them, he patiently covered the garden with a layer of dry grass. which could keep the seeds warm and moist, helping them to sprout and grow faster. Afterwards, he went to other fields to plant the colored peppers one by one and instructed the planting team warriors to carefully watch over them. Then he returned to the courtyard and opened the second jar. This jar contained black pearl beans, about 50 or 60 of them, each as big as a quail egg, round and glossy like black pearls. Beans are also one of the important crops. Although they cannot serve as staple food, they can provide high-quality protein, which is beneficial to the body when consumed regularly. The vine tribe currently has no crops like beans, so these black pearl beans carry Jiang Xuan's hope. He even thought that if the black pearl beans could be successfully cultivated, he would try to find a stone artifact master to create a stone mill, so they could make soy milk and even try to make tofu. Thinking of the fresh tofu and sweet soy milk, Jiang Xuan couldn't help but lick his lips, reminiscing about that delicious taste. He went to the vegetable garden in the courtyard and carefully planted half of the black pearl beans, while the other half were planted in the fertile fields. After planting the colored peppers and black pearl beans, to prevent Tang Yuan from wreaking havoc, Jiang Xuan erected a tall fence, enclosing the garden. After closing the gate, Jiang Xuan nodded with satisfaction, saying, "It's much safer this way." Chirp! Just then, Tang Yuan, who had gone out hunting, flew back to the courtyard. On its claws, it had captured a giant python. The giant python was as thick as a small bucket, 7 to 8 meters long, with complex patterns on its body, but its head had been pecked to a pulp by Tang Yuan. "You really have a knack for catching snakes." Jiang Xuan looked at the giant python, a little amused and exasperated. Tang Yuan had grown larger and taller than Jiang Xuan, with a wingspan of 8 meters. If not for the large bamboo shelter, it probably wouldn't fit anymore. But its habit of catching and eating snakes hadn't changed at all. Chirp! Tang Yuan picked up the giant python and placed it in front of Jiang Xuan, pecking at the middle. "Give me half," Jiang Xuan asked. Tang Yuan nodded. This creature was smarter than expected and could understand many human words. "Okay, thank you, Tang Yuan." Jiang Xuan took out a sharp stone knife and skinned the giant python whole. Snake skin is a great material for the tribe, useful for making real snake skin bags and clothing. Then he cleaned out the python's entrails, took out a stone axe, and chopped the giant python in half, one half for Tang Yuan to eat, and the other for himself. As for the entrails, Jiang Xuan buried them in the garden, which could serve as fertilizer once they decomposed. Tang Yuan picked up half of the cleaned python meat and waddled into the bamboo shelter, crouching in its nest to peck at the food. Jiang Xuan washed the other half of the python meat, chopped a section, and tossed it into a pottery cauldron, adding some spices and salt to slowly stew it. The rest he hung over the fire pit to roast slowly. Both stewing and roasting offered different flavors, and Jiang Xuan enjoyed both. After eating and drinking his fill, Jiang Xuan discovered several mushrooms growing on a decaying piece of wood in the corner of the courtyard. Jiang Xuan murmured to himself, "It's mushroom season. That mushroom forest should have grown quite a few magic mushrooms by now, right?" He considered making another trip to the mountain turtle tribe to trade for some magic mushrooms to enhance the tribal warrior's strength. No sooner said than done. Jiang Xuan immediately went to find Qi Shao and shared his idea. Qi Shao said, "Trading for some mushrooms is good, but be careful. We don't know where the Crow tribe is now, and I'm worried they might still target the Vine tribe." Jiang Xuan replied, "We won't go through the forest. I'll just take a few people and borrow a giant eagle from the old which to fly over. It won't be dangerous." Qi Shao nodded and said, "That's good too. With the Vine God watching over us, you can go without worry." "All right, we'll pack up and go tomorrow." Just as Jiang Xuan was about to leave, Qi Shao suddenly called out to him, "Xuan, wait. Is there something else?" Qi Shao hurried into the house and took out several small pottery jars with wooden stoppers, placing them in Jiang Xuan's hands. "These are healing medicines made from magic plants. Take them with you and be careful on the road." Looking at the small pottery jars, Jiang Xuan felt Qi Shao's concern, and he was silently moved. This sister was really good to him. "All right, thanks, sis. I'll be careful." Jiang Xuan put the small jars into his beast hide bag and left Qi Shao's courtyard. Chapter 158, Bell Peppers and Black Pearl Beans 3. After returning, Jiang Xuan informed the others and started preparing the items to trade at the Mountain Turtle Tribe this time. Last time, when he went to trade at the Mountain Turtle Tribe, he used items like beast teeth, beast bones, and beast hide. This time, aside from the usual goods, he also prepared to bring salt made by the Vine Tribe. Salt holds great value for most tribes. With just a little salt, one can exchange for a large number of supplies. Previously, Jiang Xuan didn't dare to bring it, fearing it would bring disaster to the tribe. But after the Crow tribe's attack, he realized the Vine tribe wasn't as weak as he had imagined. If that's the case, he can confidently and boldly trade salt with other tribes. Of course, he wouldn't say the salt was made by the Vine tribe, as that would spark envy. The other item for trade was pottery, as exquisite pottery is often welcomed by the tribe people. Jiang Xuan prepared a bag of salt, a dozen pottery pieces, and some beast bones and teeth packed into several large beast hide bags. The next day, Jiang Xuan took Go Tung and 3 warriors to borrow the giant eagle from the old witch. Trading at the Mountain Turtle Tribe, the old witch became interested upon hearing Jiang Xuan's words. "Let me go with you. I also want to see this Mountain Turtle Tribe." With the old witch offering, could Jiang Xuan refuse? So they brought the goods and, together with the old witch, sat on the back of the giant eagle ready to set off. Hoo-hoo-hoo! The giant eagle flapped its enormous wings and began to take off. However, after not flying far, Tang Yuan surprisingly caught up. Tang Yuan flew to the back of the giant eagle, continuously calling out. Jiang Xuan turned and shouted, "Tang Yuan, go back. We're going to a very far place." Yet, Tang Yuan did not go back and was determined to follow. At this point, the old witch said, "If it wants to go, let it. I'll let the giant eagle fly a bit slower, perfect for training its long-distance flying ability." Jiang Xuan thought for a moment and found reason in the suggestion, so he didn't ask Tang Yuan to go back, but instead asked it to stay closer. Tang Yuan was very happy, spreading its large purple wings, following behind the giant eagle, and at thrilling moments, even tried to dash ahead. 2 fierce birds, one large and one small, glided through the sky, heading toward the Mountain Turtle Tribe. Walking from the Vine Tribe to the Mountain Turtle Tribe takes 2 to 3 days, while riding the giant eagle requires less than a day. That's because Tang Yuan followed behind the giant eagle, flying rather slowly, with 3 breaks along the way. When the giant eagle and Tang Yuan landed on the empty ground not far from the Mountain Turtle Tribe, a large group of mountain turtles, as if facing a great enemy, immediately gathered, cautiously watching over here. The Mountain Turtle Tribe warriors held their weapons from afar, encircling the 2 fierce birds. Seeing this situation, Jiang Xuan stood up immediately and shouted, "I'm the leader of the Vine Tribe, Xuan, who traded with you before." On the Mountain Turtle Tribe's side, upon hearing Jiang Xuan shout, Leader Shanjia realized it indeed was someone from the Vine Tribe and immediately ordered the warriors to lower their weapons. "So, it's Leader Xuan. I thought it was those damn crows again. What a misunderstanding." Shanjia went ahead, but, out of caution of the giant eagle, did not approach. Jiang Xuan dismounted from the giant eagle and said, "Leader Shanjia, the Crow tribe attacked you as well." Shanjia angrily said, "Yes, fortunately, our tribe has the turtle god's protection. Otherwise, it would have been dangerous." "Wait, your Vine tribe was attacked by those crows too?" Jiang Xuan nodded and said, "Yes, but they were driven away by our Vine god." Shanjia was taken aback. If that's true, the Vine tribe would be considered a powerful tribe. Shanjia enthusiastically invited, "Come on, Leader Xuan, you've traveled far. Let's talk inside our tribe." Jiang Xuan let Go Tung and others unload the goods and then walked with Shanjia into the interior of the Mountain Turtle Tribe. Along the way, Jiang Xuan indeed saw many signs of battle, with numerous houses being repaired, obviously having been badly damaged previously. Chapter 159, Beaver Tribe. Once they entered the Mountain Turtle Tribe, Jiang Xuan and the others were warmly welcomed. During the meal, Shanjia specially prepared mushroom barbecue, and the flavor was exceptionally delicious. Shanja also noticed the old witch, because the totem pattern on his face was clearly different from those of the vine tribe. Which tribe is this elderly gentleman from? The old witch replied, Eastern Wilderness, Eagle tribe. Eastern Wilderness. That's really far. Shanja had no knowledge of the Eagle tribe and didn't know it was a large tribe. He was merely curious about the Eastern Wilderness and asked the old witch, who answered his questions. After the meal, Jiang Xuan asked, Do you know where the Crow tribe went in the end? Shanja replied, I sent warriors to track them. They migrated to the place where the Mosquito tribe used to live. Now, I estimate they've completed building their homes. The place where the Mosquito tribe used to live? Jiang Xuan was very surprised. He never expected that two tribes that had enmity with the Vine tribe would successively covet that territory. Maybe it was fate. Jiang Xuan pondered, once the Vine tribe grew stronger, whether they could send the Vine god once more to completely eliminate the Crow tribe, which could also be revenge for the Deer tribe. Jiang Xuan laughed. Leader Shanja, maybe in the future we can cooperate to jointly attack the Crow tribe. Shanja thought for a moment, then said, No problem. When the time comes, our mountain turtle tribe will definitely contribute. Great. Then we hope that day comes soon. After reaching a simple consensus, their relationship seemed to improve, and they continued eating, drinking, and having a merry conversation. After they were full and satisfied, it was time to discuss serious matters. Leader Shanja, just like before, we would like to trade for some magic mushrooms that can enhance warrior strength. Shanja asked, There's no problem with trading, but I want to see what goods Leader Xian has brought. Between tribes, bartering can be quite complicated, requiring both sides to have mutually needed goods. If one side brings goods the other doesn't want, the trade cannot be completed. Jiang Xuan said, The goods we brought this time, Leader Shanja will surely love. However, this trade must be kept confidential, so not too many people can know. Oh, it needs to be confidential. That's right. If Leader Shanja can ensure confidentiality, we might have to abandon the trade. Shanja was curious to see what good things Jiang Xuan had brought, so he ordered all the other warriors to leave the room. Jiang Xuan also gestured for everyone to leave, including the old witch, and the room was left with only him and Shanja. The flames in the fire pit crackled as Jiang Xuan and Shanja sat beside it, creating a somewhat mysterious atmosphere. Leader Xian, can you tell me now? Jiang Xuan nodded and took a small pottery jar from his beast hide bag, handing it to Shanja. Leader Shanja, please take a look first. What is this? With curiosity, Shanja opened the jar and saw the container full of light red salt, with relatively large crystals that were as beautiful as crystals. Shanjia's eyes widened immediately. Could this be? Jiang Xuan smiled. Leader Shanja can taste it. In the mountain turtle tribe, Shanja wasn't worried about Jiang Xuan poisoning him, so he nodded. With excitement, Shanja pinched a small piece of light red salt and put it into his mouth. The salty flavor spread in his mouth, purer than any salt he had ever tasted. Salt, good salt. Shanja looked at the small jar in delight, never having imagined that the Vine tribe would possess such quality salt. Is it only this small jar? Shanja asked again. Jiang Xuan shook his head. No, we brought a large jar. That's also why I asked Leader Shanja to keep it secret. The salt is too precious. Rest assured, Leader Xian, we will certainly keep it secret. Where's the salt? We can begin the trade immediately. Don't rush, Leader Shanja. Besides the salt, we also brought other goods. What goods? Shanja anticipated more surprises. Jiang Xuan didn't answer directly, but instead asked, Leader Shanja, what do you think of this pottery jar that holds the salt? Upon hearing Jiang Xuan's question, Shanja picked up the small pottery jar and examined it carefully, discovering a lot of patterns on it that were very beautiful. Moreover, the bottom of the small pottery jar had the Vine tribe's totem pattern. Shanja wasn't foolish. He immediately guessed that the pottery jar was made by the Vine tribe. Leader Xian, the goods you're talking about aren't pottery, are they? Jiang Xuan smiled and nodded. Indeed, it's pottery. Our vine tribe has pottery cauldrons, pottery jars, pottery basins, pottery bottles, pottery plates, pottery bowls, pottery cups. Surely we have pottery that your tribe will like." Shan Jia was stunned. He never expected that the vine tribe produced so much pottery. "Leader Xian, is your vine tribe a mid-sized tribe?" In Shan Jia's understanding, small tribes couldn't possibly possess so many things. Jiang Xuan said, "We are still a small tribe now, but I believe we will become a mid-sized tribe in the future." Had someone else said this, Shan Jia likely would have sneered, for he knew very well how difficult it was to become a mid-sized tribe. The mountain turtle tribe had been established here for many years and possessed various magic mushrooms. Yet, at its peak, the population never exceeded 1,000. To become a mid-sized tribe, a population of at least 5,000 was required, which was exceedingly difficult. Chapter 160, Beaver Tribe 2. But for some reason, when Jiang Xuan said this, Shan Jia didn't feel anything amiss, as if Jiang Xuan were merely stating a fact. Ultimately, it was because the vine tribe had shocked him too many times. Whether it was pushing back the crow tribe, or bringing out salt and exquisite pottery, and riding formidable fierce birds, none of it seemed like the style of a small tribe. Shan Jia said, "Then let's bring all the goods in and start trading. Leader Xian, rest assured, I'll definitely keep the matter of the salt confidential." Jiang Xuan nodded, then walked outside and let Go Tung and the others bring the goods. Shan Jia also brought a few warriors and carried in several bags of magic mushrooms. During the trade, to maintain confidentiality, only Jiang Xuan and Shan Jia were in the room, while the others remained outside guarding. This trade went very smoothly. The mountain turtle tribe received a large jar of salt, 2 practical pottery items, several pottery jars, and some beast teeth and beast bones. The vine tribe obtained a large number of magic mushrooms, such as strength mushrooms, luminous mushrooms, swift mushrooms, among others. As for the divine mushrooms that Shan Jia highly recommended, Jiang Xuan didn't take them, which made Shan Jia a bit disappointed. After all, trading divine mushrooms for a large amount of supplies was an important way for the mountain turtle tribe to profit in trades. Nevertheless, even without trading the divine mushrooms, the mountain turtle tribe's harvest was quite good, and Shan Jia was fairly satisfied with this trade. After the trade, everyone relaxed, and Shan Jia took Jiang Xuan and others for a stroll in the mountain turtle tribe. Splash, splash. At this moment, a wave of water sound suddenly came from the distant great swamp. Shan Jia immediately became tense, grabbing a weapon and quickly running to the waterside, along with the warriors of the mountain turtle tribe. Before long, a group of people appeared in the great swamp, riding dozens of strange water beasts, gradually approaching the mountain turtle tribe. When Shan Jia saw these people, his tense feelings instantly dissipated. Shan Jia laughed heartily. Turns out it's friends from the beaver tribe. The dozens of strange water beasts crawled ashore, and over 100 warriors on the water beasts jumped off. Leading the group was a short-statured, small-eyed man, who looked a bit sleazy but had 4 horizontal lines on his face, clearly a formidable 4-color warrior. This person was named Lu Zhu, the leader of the beaver tribe. "Leader Shan Jia, I thought your mountain turtle tribe didn't welcome us." Shan Jia said, "How could that be? It's just those damn crow tribe making us too nervous." Lu Zhu walked up to Shan Jia and agreed. The crow tribe is indeed quite heinous. Shan Jia asked in surprise, "Your beaver tribe was also attacked by the crow tribe?" "Not exactly, but a few crows did steal prey from our tribe. Living by the great swamp, not too far apart, just like the previous conflict with the mosquito tribe, conflicts with other tribes were inevitable." Shan Jia and Lu Zhu continued to curse the crow tribe, united in their hostility. Then, Shan Jia welcomed the warriors of the beaver tribe into the mountain turtle tribe. The beaver tribe was evidently quite familiar with the mountain turtle tribe, and the warriors greeted each other warmly. Jiang Xuan was quite curious about this unfamiliar tribe, but since he wasn't familiar, he didn't join in, choosing instead to observe first. The war pets of this tribe were a peculiar species. They were large in size, roughly estimated to weigh over 1,000 pounds, covered in a thick, slick coat of fur. Their eyes were small and round, like those of rodents, their ears very small, with fangs, short limbs with sharp claws, and a thick, long tail. They resembled an animal Jiang Xuan had seen in his previous life, otters. However, these water beasts were countless times larger than otters and appeared extremely fierce. Jiang Xuan casually asked the mountain turtle warrior accompanying him, "Which tribe are these people from?" "Leader Xian, they are from the beaver tribe and came to trade with us as well." "Are those water beasts otters?" "The beaver tribe calls them fish otters because these water beasts are excellent at fishing and love eating fish." Jiang Xuan and the vine tribe warriors marveled at these giant water beasts called fish otters, as they had never seen such creatures in the vine tribe. These fish otters, even when ashore, stayed by the water's edge to rest and wouldn't stray far from the water. Jiang Xuan speculated that it was because they moved faster in the water. On land, with their short legs, they ran slower and lacked a sense of security. Before long, a mountain turtle tribe warrior ran over to Jiang Xuan's side. "Leader Xian, our leader requests your presence." "All right." Jiang Xuan followed this warrior back into the mountain turtle tribe's guest house. As soon as Jiang Xuan entered, Shan Jia warmly greeted him. "Leader Xian, come, meet our mountain turtle tribe's friends, the leader of the beaver tribe." Lu Zhu was initially surprised by Jiang Xuan's youth, then solemnly introduced himself. "Leader of the beaver tribe, Lu Zhu." "Leader of the vine tribe, Xian." After their introductions, Shan Jia immediately invited sit. The three of them sat back down by the fire pit, while the warriors of the three tribes stood outside, not disturbing them. While grilling mushroom skewers, Shan Jia said, "Leader Lu Zhu, did you bring ice lotus today? Bring one out to taste. Maybe you can even trade with Leader Xian." Chapter 161, Beaver Tribe 3. Lu Zhu chuckled. "I knew you were thinking about the ice lotus." However, Lu Zhu wasn't stingy either. He directly took out a piece of crystal-clear, ice sculpture-like ice lotus from his personal beast hide bag. The ice lotus looked similar to a lotus root, approximately as thick as a child's arm, with 9 holes on it. It was extremely beautiful and emitted a pleasant fragrance. This was the specialty of the beaver tribe, the ice lotus. Then, Lu Zhu took out a stone knife and cut the piece of ice lotus into 3 portions, handing one to Shan Jia, one to Jiang Xuan, and keeping one for himself. Shan Jia said with a smile, "Leader Xian, give it a try. Apart from the beaver tribe, not many people can get this kind of good thing." Jiang Xuan, following his suggestion, placed the ice lotus to his mouth and took a small bite. A refreshing sweet taste blossomed on his tongue. Jiang Xuan felt extremely cool, as if he had eaten a popsicle on a scorching summer day. Moreover, Jiang Xuan keenly felt that after taking a bite of the ice lotus, his whole body's condition underwent some subtle changes, and his mental state improved quite a bit. Jiang Xuan praised, "This ice lotus is indeed a good thing." Hearing Jiang Xuan's praise, Lu Zhu felt very pleased as well. After all, this was the specialty of their beaver tribe. What Lu Zhu didn't know was that after Jiang Xuan finished that piece of ice lotus, he was already pondering how to get some seeds back to try and cultivate. Since the tribe began cultivation, whatever good things Jiang Xuan encountered, his first thought was to bring them back to the tribe to plant. Of course, some plants have high requirements for growing environments and may not survive. After eating and drinking their fill, Shan Jia and Lu Zhu began to discuss trading matters, while Jiang Xuan sensibly went outside. After the mountain turtle tribe and beaver tribe finished their trade, Jiang Xuan went back to find Lu Zhu. "Leader Lu Zhu, our vine tribe also wants to trade some ice lotus. I wonder if there are any left." Lu Zhu said, "The big ice lotuses have all been picked by Leader Shan Jia. Only a few smaller ones are left. I'd like to take a look." "Sure." Lu Zhu didn't waste any words and directly had a warrior bring over a beast hide bag. After opening the beast hide bag, there were indeed 5 more ice lotuses inside. However, these 5 ice lotuses were small and had many joints, which made them not as good for eating as the larger ones. But Jiang Xuan noticed that the joints of these 5 ice lotuses had quite a few roots and some buds. Jiang Xuan was almost laughing in his heart. Aren't these the perfect seeds? Of course, he couldn't laugh on his face, but had to act dissatisfied. They're indeed a bit small, and there's not much edible portion. Just when Lu Zhu thought this transaction might not happen, Jiang Xuan added, however, taking them back to let the witch have a taste should still be fine. Lu Zhu asked, so what good does Leader Xian want exchange for these 5 ice lotuses? Jiang Xuan pretended to be heartbroken as he took out a pair of beast teeth. The goods brought this time have all been traded for mushrooms. Only this pair of beast teeth is left. Leader Lu Zhu, can you accept these in exchange for the ice lotuses? Lu Zhu accepted the beast teeth and found that the quality was quite good. Although they were small, those few ice lotuses were also lower quality, so it balanced out. Deal! Lu Zhu collected the pair of beast teeth and handed the 5 ice lotuses to Jiang Xuan. Leader Xian, if you want better ice lotuses, you can visit our beaver tribe in the future, and I'll be sure to treat you well then. I will definitely visit if I have the chance. After the trade was completed, Lu Zhu didn't stay long and soon led the beaver tribe's warriors to ride those fish otters and leave across the waves. Jiang Xuan carefully wrapped the 5 ice lotuses with watergrass and put them back into the beast hide bag to keep them moist. Afterward, Jiang Xuan bid farewell to Shan Jia, and together with the old witch and vine tribe warriors, they flew back on the giant eagle, with Tang Yuan following closely behind. Chapter 162, Changes in the Vine Tribe. After returning from the mountain turtle tribe, Jiang Xuan personally excavated a deep pool in the yard and brought in a substantial amount of fertile pond mud. Then he planted those 5 ice lotus roots in the sludge. Finally, Jiang Xuan connected the pool with a bamboo pipe carrying flowing water, turning the water into live water instead of stagnant. After everything was done, Jiang Xuan washed his hands and said, hope they can take root. After planting the ice lotuses, Jiang Xuan rode Tang Yuan and flew to a high mountain to the west of the tribe. This mountain is relatively close to the vine tribe, but the environment above halfway up the mountain is similar to where the rock sheep tribe used to reside. Boom! Tang Yuan landed on a gentle slope halfway up the mountain and, like a giant eagle, stretched out a wing that grazed the ground. Jiang Xuan walked down along the wing onto the ground. Not far away, there was a plot of wasteland that had been recently cleared, its weeds and shrubs removed, leaving only some tender green sprouts. In the wasteland, 6 saplings were planted, all wax trees brought back from the rock sheep tribe. Hey, they're sprouting. After approaching, Jiang Xuan discovered several small, cluster-like sprouts of tender buds on 2 wax tree saplings, not yet spread open. This meant that these 2 wax tree saplings had taken root, which made Jiang Xuan very happy. If these 2 saplings can take root, the others should be able to as well. In the future, we can transplant more saplings here, turning it into a wax tree forest. With a wax tree forest, one can raise waxworms. In other words, if everything goes well, the vine tribe can raise waxworms on this mountain, avoiding the risky journey to the rock sheep tribe. This made Jiang Xuan very pleased. If the vine tribe can produce a large quantity of insect wax in the future, whether used personally or for trade, it would be excellent. Jiang Xuan squatted down and patiently pulled out the newly sprouted weeds by the saplings before riding Tang Yuan back to the tribe. After returning to the tribe, he went to the breeding area. The breeding area now had 20 to 30 sheds for various livestock and more than a dozen caves. Because of continuous breeding without much consumption, their numbers grew rapidly. Among them, the most numerous were not the 5-colored ducks, nor the 7-colored pheasants or the unicorn birds, but the Dazhir rats and long-tailed rabbits. Dazhir rats can reproduce 4 litters a year, each ranging from 3 to 5 pups, while long-tailed rabbits can reproduce 6 litters yearly, with each litter yielding 3 to 10 pups, displaying a frightening reproductive ability. In only 2 years, the Dazhir rats and long-tailed rabbits have started to take shape, occupying at least half of the breeding team spaces. Standing in front of shed, Jiang Xuan looked through the sturdy fence gate at a heap of plump, long-tailed rabbits inside and remarked, "Our tribe's future meat supply is assured." De Jiao stood beside Jiang Xuan, enthusiastically saying, "Leader, it's not just meat. The long-tailed rabbit's hide is thick, and its fur is very warm, which can be made into beast hide clothing in the future. Jiang Xuan agreed. Indeed, with this, our vine tribe members will not only have meat to eat, but also beast hide clothing to wear. You've done a great job, breeding team. Jiao was thrilled by Jiang Xuan's praises, feeling even more motivated to work. Jiang Xuan then checked on other livestock and noticed that the 5-color ducks laid quite a number of eggs, with mother ducks busy incubating. Not just the 5-colored ducks, but also the 7-colored pheasants and unicorn birds almost all laid eggs at around this time, incubating chicks. Unlike the poultry Jiang Xuan had seen in his previous life, these partially domesticated birds lay eggs only twice a year, once in spring and once in fall. To make them lay eggs year-round would require unknown generations of breeding. After inspecting the breeding team, Jiang Xuan went to the bank of Feiyu River. The fishing team was attempting to build wooden boats. Of course, it's not a boat made of wooden planks. That work requires professional carpenters, something difficult for the fishing team to achieve. What they were crafting was a kind of vessel similar to a dugout canoe, but considerably more spacious. Crackle, crackle. At the riverbank, warriors from the fishing team lit a bonfire, placing a piece of wood over it to burn. This piece of wood was about 5 meters long with a diameter of roughly 1.5 meters, very large. If not for the tribe warriors' strength and the fact the wood was already dry, transporting would have been quite an issue. This piece of wood was found by Jiang Xuan leading a team into the forest. Having died and fallen to the ground, parts had already decayed, but this part remained relatively intact. After bringing it back, they carefully chopped and shaved off the outer layer with a stone axe and flattened both sides. By the bonfire, Jiang Xuan was examining a boat model crafted from clay. This model was of a flat-bottomed fishing vessel, very simple in design, large in the middle and small at the ends, with 2 paddles. Even though the design was very simple, making it is not easy. Firstly, due to lack of experience, and secondly, due to overly primitive tools, carving the wood into shape is very strenuous. Jiang Xuan had to follow Jiang Xuan's method, carving out a flat surface on the wood, then flipping it over and covering it with a thick layer of wet mud, burning on the fire to gradually hollow out the interior with the power of flames. Due to the wet mud coating, most areas, except the center, were less likely to burn through. Chapter 163. Changes in the Vine Tribe 2. When Jiang Xuan walked over, 5 or 6 warriors from the fishing team were busy moving a huge log away from the fire and flipping it over. The middle of the log was still burning. The warriors from the fishing team sprinkled some water on it to extinguish the visible flames, then used a stone axe to slowly scrape away the charred wood. This way, next time it burns, more wood can be burned away. As soon as Jiang Xuan came over, Jiang Xuan stood up immediately and said, "Leader." Jiang Xuan waved his hand and said, "I'm just here to take a look. Don't mind me." Jiang Xuan pulled a face and said, "This wooden boat is too hard to build. We've already wasted 1 big log, and this is our second one." "What problem occurred?" Jiang Xuan asked. "It burned too deep, causing the wood to crack, so we're planning to burn it shallower this time." Jiang Xuan nodded and said, "The first time is always difficult. Make a few more times and gather more experience, it'll be fine." Jiang Xuan hesitated for a moment before finally asking, "Leader, why do we have to go through so much effort to build a wooden boat? I feel like a bamboo raft works quite well, and the warriors in the fishing team are used to it." Jiang Xuan said, "You've used bamboo raft for so long. Have you noticed that when the current is strong, the bamboo raft shakes violently and it's hard to control the direction?" Jiang Xuan nodded and said, "That's true. Sometimes, after heavy rain, when the river is fast, it's hard to control the bamboo raft. That's because the bamboo raft sits too high in the water and water seeps between the bamboo stalks, reducing buoyancy. It's hard to control it with just 1 bamboo pole." Jiang Xuan pointed at the wooden boat model in Jiang Xuan's hand and said, "But a wooden boat is different. When people sit on it, it sits deeper in the water, making it more stable than a bamboo raft. It's also easier to steer, and the broad oars are more suitable for paddling than poles. Let me put it this way. If our vine tribe only ever makes bamboo rafts, then the area where your fishing team can operate is just this small section of the river in front of the tribe. But if you can build wooden boats and continue to improve them, in the future your fishing team will own the entire river. After hearing Jiang Xuan's words, Jiang Jie felt as if a fire had been ignited in his heart. Jiang Jie nodded solemnly and said, "Leader, I understand. We will definitely build the wooden boat." Jiang Xuan nodded and said, "The first time building a wooden boat, it's okay if it's a bit rudimentary and rough. Improve it gradually, and it will get better." After talking with Jiang Jie, Jiang Xuan personally walked over, taking a stone axe to chop and carve the giant log into the shape of a wooden boat. This was a task that took a lot of effort and tested patience, but fortunately, Jiang Xuan lacked neither strength nor patience. Seeing that the leader was helping, Jiang Jie couldn't just stand aside. He also picked up a stone axe to work with Jiang Xuan on building the Vine tribe's first wooden boat. In addition to the warriors making the wooden boat, some warriors from the fishing team were diligently setting up fishing traps, fish cages, fishing rods, and casting nets on the riverbank. Fishing was their most important daily task, as fish were one of the main food sources for the Vine tribe. On the outskirts of the Vine tribe, Nanxing was leading the guard team warriors on continuous patrol. They needed to traverse the area around the tribe every day to check for dangers and see if any traps had been triggered. Yo, yo, yo. As they walked through a forest, Nanxing suddenly heard the calls of deer. Perhaps because he was from the deer tribe, Nanxing held a special bond with deer. Therefore, upon hearing such sounds, he immediately led the guard team warriors over there. When they arrived, they found a large herd of great horned deer. These great horned deer must have just migrated here because the forest near the Vine tribe had been scoured by the hunting team countless times, and such a large group of great horned deer had never been found before. "Leader, should we catch a few great horned deer?" The guard team warriors were eager. When patrolling, if they encountered prey, they would also hunt to provide meat for the tribe. A small tribe like the Vine tribe couldn't afford to have these warriors leave their posts. Their main duty remained guarding the tribe. Nanxing stared at the herd of great horned deer for a long time. Because of his special affection for deer, he didn't want the great horned deer to be eaten, but he couldn't selfishly prevent the warriors from hunting. Suddenly, an idea flashed in his mind. Other tribes have war pets or mounts, but the Vine tribe doesn't yet have true mounts. If they could tame these great horned deer to become mounts, not only would it prevent them from being hunted, but it would also enhance the Vine tribe's combat power. Thinking of this, Nanxing made up his mind. Nanxing asked the warriors from the guard team, "What do you think about capturing these great horned deer to use as mounts?" Nanxing's words made the warriors' eyes light up. As warriors, who hasn't fantasized about the scene of riding a mount through the forest? Although great horned deer are not ferocious animals, they are large, with adult great horned deer weighing around 1,000 pounds, easily capable of carrying a person, and their big antlers give them a decent fighting strength. "But how can we capture these great horned deer?" a warrior asked. Great horned deer are naturally alert, making them difficult to hunt, let alone capture alive. Nanxing pulled a bone whistle from his beast hide bag and said, "Use this to lure them over." Chapter 164. Changes in the Vine Tribe 3. This bone whistle, Nanxing has been carrying it for a long time, and due to frequent handling, its surface has become glossy and smooth. The most magical aspect of this bone whistle is its ability to mimic bird calls and deer cries excellently. The deer tribe has often used the sound of this bone whistle to attract herds of deer. Nanxing plans to use the same method to capture these great horned deer alive. You go borrow fishing nets from the fishing team. Be quick about it. Yes. Several warriors from the guard team excitedly ran back, moving very quickly. Nanxing, on the other hand, kept watching the group of great horned deer, remembering many past events. In his childhood, he once, with the help of his parents, rode excitedly through the tribe on a great horned deer. He also once held green grass in his hands to feed a fawn and regarded the fawn as his future mount, hoping for it to grow up. Later, as he grew older, He hoped to become a warrior and own a great horned deer. However, the appearance of the Crow tribe ruthlessly shattered all these beautiful hopes, slaughtering the deer tribe and all kinds of deer completely. Damn Crow tribe! Nanxing gritted his teeth. Hatred like a seed that does not disappear with time, but rather takes root and grows in his heart, getting larger. Moreover, now that the Crow tribe has appeared again, sooner or later, a great war will break out between the two tribes. When that time comes, it will be either you die or I perish. Before this great war comes, if a large group of great horned deer can be tamed, then the combat power of the Vine tribe can be elevated by a level. Thinking of this, Nanxing rubbed the bone whistle in his hand, determined to obtain that group of great horned deer. He spent 1 or 2 years repeatedly practicing the bone whistle for today. Before long, the guard team warriors came back with several fishing nets. Nanxing chose a relatively narrow location and then had the guard team warriors ambush around. Nanxing took a deep breath, then placed the bone whistle by his mouth and started to blow. You. The sound of the bone whistle was almost indistinguishable from the real thing, quickly attracting the attention of the great horned deer herd. 2 particularly curious great horned deer were the first to walk over this way. They walked slowly and cautiously, their eyes constantly scanning the surroundings, ears occasionally twitching, clearly listening carefully to the sounds around them. You. Nanxing continued to whistle. Though he was a bit anxious, his hands remained steady, maintaining the frequency of the deer calls from the bone whistle. Gradually, those 2 great horned deer walked into the encirclement of the guard team. At that moment, Nanxing had already moved back a certain distance. When Nanxing felt the time was ripe, the sound of the bone whistle suddenly changed to bird calls. Go! 2 warriors from the guard team excitedly jumped down from the trees, simultaneously spreading the large net over the great horned deer. The other guard team warriors also stood up, pulling the net to cut off the great horned deer's escape route. The 2 great horned deer crashed into the fishing net, bleeding and struggling frantically, but it was already too late. The large group of great horned deer, upon hearing the commotion here, scrambled away and disappeared into the dense forest in the blink of an eye. Quick, hold them down. The guard team warriors rushed over, first using the fishing net to drag the great horned deer to the ground, then swarmed over and skillfully pinned down the 2 great horned deer, tying their hooves with ropes. We did it! Nanxing raised the bone whistle, a bright smile on his face. Hard work and perseverance are ultimately rewarded. Chapter 165, Mounts and Sacrifices. When Jiang Xuan saw the 2 great horned deer, he was quite surprised because he didn't expect Nanxing to actually lure them with a bone whistle. However, he soon had a question. These 2 are adult great horned deer. How could they possibly be tamed as mounts? If they were fawns raised in the tribe from a young age, gradually developing a bond, it would still be possible. But in that case, it would require a massive amount of time and effort. Just as Jiang Xuan was pondering how to tactfully tell Nanxing that these 2 great horned deer would be hard to tame, an event changed his mind. Buzz! On Stone Mountain, the divine vine emitted a green light all over its body, with thick vines rapidly extending toward the riverbank, eventually forming a vine bridge. Swish! In the Feiyu River, many giant water scorpions swiftly swam toward the vine bridge and then climbed up along it. The annual transformation of the giant dragonflies was about to begin again. However, compared to last year, this year's transformation of the giant dragonflies started much earlier, maybe because there were variations in when these giant dragonflies laid their eggs. When dozens of giant water scorpions climbed onto the vine bridge, the bridge quickly retracted, winding back on a stone mountain. And those giant water scorpions would complete their transformation on Stone Mountain, becoming true giant dragonflies. When there are giant dragonflies, the defense and attack power of the vine tribe becomes stronger. After observing the divine vine guiding the giant water scorpions, Jiang Xuan thought of a question. Why are these giant water scorpions and the transformed giant dragonflies so obedient to the divine vine? It should be known that compared to animals, Taming insects is even more challenging because their lifespans are too short, and they might die of old age just as slight training success begins. But during last year's attack on the mosquito tribe, those giant dragonflies cooperated exceedingly well and even helped transport items afterward. At the time, he noticed a detail. Each giant dragonfly had a faint vine tribe totem pattern on its forehead. Could it be that the divine vine possesses some means to control animals? If that's the case, then the two great horned deer that Nanxing brought back truly have a chance of being tamed. Upon realizing this, Jiang Xuan felt quite thrilled and immediately went to the yard at the foot of Stone Mountain to find Qi Xiao. After finding Qi Xiao, he shared his thoughts with her. Sister, Nanxing caught two great horned deer and wants to use them as mounts. Can you ask the vine god if there's a way to quickly tame them? All right. Qi Xiao immediately closed her eyes and began communicating with the divine vine. Soon after, Qi Xiao opened her eyes again and said, "The vine god wants you to bring those two great horned deer to the altar." "I'll go right away." Jiang Xuan's heart surged with excitement. The divine vine indeed possesses powers to make animals obedient. Jiang Xuan immediately found Nanxing and shared the good news with him. "That's great. I'll take the great horned deer there right away." Overjoyed, Nanxing immediately partnered with the warriors of the guard team to lift the two-tied great horned deer to the mud-built altar at the foot of Stone Mountain. Following that, Jiang Xuan, Qi Xiao, Nanxing, and others stood in front of the altar, waiting for the divine vine to perform its divine powers. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Once again, the divine vine on Stone Mountain shone brightly, and two vine tendrils as thick as arms quickly extended down to the altar. The two great horned deer were struggling incessantly, but once the vines descended, they seemed to sense a terrifying aura and dared not struggle any longer, lying on the altar trembling. The two vines continued to grow, rapidly enveloping the two great horned deer, forming what looked like two large green cocoons. Wouldn't these two great horned deer be consumed by the divine vine? Jiang Xuan thought of scenes from past rituals and couldn't help but worry about the two great horned deer. Fortunately, this time was different. Soon, the green cocoons broke open, the divine vine receded, and the two great horned deer sat calmly on the altar. The two great horned deer clearly were no longer in a panic as before, and they even seemed calm. Moreover, they gazed at the vine tribe warriors with a look of familiarity and affection. Jiang Xuan asked Qi Xiao, "Is it done?" Qi Xiao nodded affirmatively and said, "The vine god told me to take these two great horned deer back with you. Nanxing, let's go up and take a look." Jiang Xuan beckoned, then led Nanxing onto the altar. If it were before, upon seeing people approaching, these two great horned deer would surely howl in fear and attempt to attack. But now, as Jiang Xuan and Nanxing got closer, the two great horned deer merely looked at them eagerly, without making a sound or showing any signs of aggression. Moreover, Jiang Xuan noticed that both great horned deer bore the faint vine tribe totem pattern on their foreheads, just like the giant dragonflies. "Try untying them." Jiang Xuan untied the rope from one of the great horned deer's hooves, then observed its reaction. To his surprise, this great horned deer didn't run at all. Instead, it stood up and affectionately nuzzled Jiang Xuan with its cheek. Truly tame, Jiang Xuan couldn't express his emotions clearly at this moment. The divine vine had brought him so many surprises. Choosing the divine vine as the guardian god was one of the wisest decisions Jiang Xuan believed he had ever made. Nanxing untied the rope from the other great horned deer, which showed the same affection towards Nanxing, utterly lacking any urge to escape. Chapter 166. Mounts and Sacrifices 2. Thank the vine god's grace. The two sincerely thanked the divine vine on the stone mountain and then came down from the altar with two great horned deer. After entering the bamboo forest, Nanxing eagerly climbed onto the back of the great horned deer. Surprisingly, the deer did not run away but steadily carried him forward. "I have a mount." Nanxing's excited voice echoed through the bamboo forest as he rode the great horned deer around the tribe, drawing many envious glances. Jiang Xuan was seated on the other great horned deer, experiencing a novel thrill, even more exciting than riding a horse. After riding for a while, Jiang Xuan and Nanxing dismounted from the backs of the great horned deer. Jiang Xuan said, "Nanxing, from now on you can continue to capture great horned deer, and I will have 2 hunting teams assist you. It would be best if all the tribe's warriors could ride great horned deer." Nanxing spiritedly said, "Leader, rest assured, we will capture enough great horned deer so that every warrior has a mount." Jiang Xuan nodded, thought for a moment, and then said, "But don't just capture great horned deer, also capture some other game to thank the vine god." Since they decided to seek the divine vine's help, capturing some game for sacrifice was only right. They couldn't always have the divine vine's aid for free, could they? Jiang Xuan knew well that only when both parties benefited could cooperation be happy and long-lasting. If asking for help without giving anything in return, one day, the vine god might find it tiresome and refuse to assist. Also, now that the weather is warmer and food is more abundant, prepare for the spring festival. Festivals are the most important events for the tribe, as each festival not only grants the totem god many offerings, but also increases the number and strength of the tribe's warriors. Nanxing solemnly nodded. "Leader, we will promptly prepare the offerings." Jiang Xuan nodded. "Go on then." "Yes." Nanxing rode away on the great horned deer. As the leader of the guard team, he was very busy, especially now with the added task of capturing great horned deer and preparing offerings. As for the other great horned deer, Jiang Xuan gave it to Qi Xiao, as he already had Tang Yuan, a fierce bird, and it was unsuitable to also have a great horned deer. From that day, the tribe's warriors eagerly went out to capture great horned deer, as everyone wanted to own a fast, strong mount. The only exceptions were the people from the former rock sheep tribe. They were not interested in capturing great horned deer, as they were used to riding rock sheep and already had quite a few. If they were in other tribes, those rock sheep probably would have ended up being eaten, but fortunately, they joined a vine tribe, and Jiang Xuan allowed them to keep raising their rock sheep. Apart from capturing great horned deer, the entire tribe was busily preparing for the festival. No one dared to be careless with such a big event. Everyone wanted to offer the best to the vine god, hoping for the vine god's continued protection and more warriors for the tribe, especially the 89 people brought back from the mosquito tribe. After this festival, they would become true members of the vine tribe. Dong Kuei was one of these 89. She had even tried to offer herself to Jiang Xuan to become a true member of the vine tribe, but had not succeeded. Now, her wish was about to come true, giving her a dreamlike feeling. At night, Dong Kuei lay on a bamboo bed, staring at the roof lit by firelight, lost in thought. When she first arrived at the vine tribe, many people lived in one house in chaos. Now, Dong Kuei no longer had to squeeze in with many others. She lived in a bamboo house with 5 other girls, and they each had their own bamboo bed. This was impossible even in her previous tribe. The vine tribe was very clean everywhere, as the leader hated filth and did not allow people to do their business anywhere they liked. The vine tribe always had ample food. In other tribes, people often went hungry, and in winter, if food was scarce, people often starved to death. But in the vine tribe, during all the time Dong Kuei lived there, she had never seen anyone starve or freeze to death. After experiencing the destruction of her tribe and being treated like livestock in the mosquito tribe, Dong Kuei cherished this life even more. "Soon, I can be a true member of the vine tribe and even have the chance to become a one-color warrior. How wonderful." Covered with a beast hide, Dong Kuei slowly closed her eyes to sleep. Her old dreams were always nightmares, but this time, her dream was a good one. On March 19th, after a period of preparation, the vine tribe officially began this year's spring festival. The entire vine tribe was cleaned spotlessly, and even the altar area was clear of any weeds. Apart from more than 200 people from the former rock sheep tribe, all the vine tribe members washed themselves clean, painted totem patterns on their faces, donned the finest beast hide clothing, and adorned themselves with beast teeth and horns. On the altar, 3 large cauldrons were filled with edible plant fruits. In addition, there were many animal offerings piled into a small mountain on the altar. As the sun rose, casting its light over the stone mountain and altar, Jiang Xuan loudly declared, "The spring festival has officially begun." Qi Xiao, prepared and ready, took a deep breath and slowly walked barefoot onto the altar. Facing the divine vine, she began to chant the incantation. As Qi Xiao chanted, the divine vine began to emit a green divine light, and all the vines started to dance. Simultaneously, dozens of giant dragonflies, fully transformed, flew around the massive stone mountain and the divine vine, creating a spectacular scene. Below the altar, the old witch stood by watching. Seeing the more people than ever before, the ample offerings, and the continuously flying giant dragonflies, she felt very emotional. The growth of the vine tribe was so rapid that there were new changes almost every day, teeming with vitality and vigor. The divine vine descended again, enveloping all offerings in a green light, rapidly consuming them. Unlike previous years, this time, not even the bones remained as they were dissolved in the green light. After the divine vine finished consuming the offerings, only a thin layer of powder remained on the altar, astonishing Jiang Xuan. It seemed that the divine vine's power had grown stronger, but exactly how strong no one knew. Despite being surprised, Jiang Xuan didn't forget his own affairs. After the divine vine retracted, he approached Dong Kuei and the 89 others and said to them, "Your efforts after joining the vine tribe have been evident to all. I announce that from today, you are truly members of the vine tribe." "That's wonderful." These people all cheered, having waited so long for this day. Dong Kuei's eyes filled with tears of excitement. From today, she no longer had to worry about being expelled from the vine tribe. The other vine tribe members also showed warm smiles. They all understood that the tribe's continued strength and development depended on increasing its population. Afterward, Qi Xiao on the altar began to chant the blessing spell. In the sky, dozens of vine tendrils danced, shedding a rain of green liquid. This liquid quickly merged into the bodies of all vine tribe members. Even the Tang Yuan standing beside the crowd and the newly tamed great horned deer all benefited. Dong Kuei fulfilled her wish to become a one-color warrior, and many others also became warriors, their excitement beyond words. Simultaneously, 2 vines extended to Qi Xiao and Jiang Xuan, bestowing which power on Qi Xiao and warrior strength on Jiang Xuan, enhancing their abilities. Though Jiang Xuan didn't break through to the 5-color level, he felt very close to it. Outside the bamboo forest, in front of a row of wooden houses, over 200 former Rock Sheep tribe members watched the festival in the bamboo forest with envy. What a powerful guardian god! I heard that each festival, the vine tribe gains many new warriors, and this time should be no different. These people whispered among themselves, unable to hide their envious expressions. 2-color warrior My Dong said, "I heard the vine tribe will have another festival in the fall. I hope we'll be able to participate in the fall festival too." Everyone nodded. Since they had joined the vine tribe, they naturally hoped to integrate quickly and live better lives. Only by participating in the festival and becoming true members of the vine tribe would they feel safe, rather than being excluded in times of crisis. Chapter 167. Go Tong's Love. After the ceremony, Nanxing finally became a 3-color warrior. He excitedly rode the great horned deer and ran several laps around the tribe. Goting watched Nanxing's back with a smile, then turned around and walked towards his own house. The tribe now had more than 500 people, and many houses were built. In these conditions, they naturally didn't have to crowd into one room anymore. Jiang Xuan and Qi Xiao had their own separate courtyards, while each leader in the tribe had a house to themselves, considered one of the perks of being a leader. Goting used to be a more outgoing person, always with a smile on his face and treating the warriors of the tribe well. However, after a hunting trip with Jiang Xuan, where he was almost killed by a charging wild boar, he was left with some psychological trauma. He became less talkative, his smile faded, and he became more cautious and careful, not seeking success but only wishing to avoid mistakes. With such a leader, Hunting Team 1 prioritized caution during their outings, leading to few casualties but also lacking any standout performance. Everyone thought Go Tong became more reserved due to aging, but it wasn't true. The image of the charging wild boar often became his nightmare, waking him up in terror at night. Even though Jiang Xuan suspected that Go Tong might have psychological issues, there was nothing he could do since he wasn't a psychologist and didn't know how to help eliminate Go Tong's trauma, leaving it to Go Tong to adjust by himself. Creak. Go Tong returned to his house, untied the knot on the door, and pushed it open. The fire in the hearth was still burning. Go Tong added some whole logs to it, as these logs burned well, and 2 were enough to last a long time. Then he washed the pottery cauldron clean, added some water, and placed it in the hearth. He then added some chopped stone egg, bamboo shoots, and meat to the pot for cooking. The people of the tribe ate food either grilled or stewed, with not much choice, nor the time and energy for complex dishes. While the food simmered, Go Tong patiently began grinding the stone spear. Stone implements wear down easily and require frequent sharpening until they're no longer usable. Because of this, people in the tribe valued high-quality stone that lasted long after sharpening. Smells so good. Just when Go Tong was engrossed in grinding the stone spear, a woman casually walked in. The woman was about 18 or 19 years old, very mature by tribal standards. Her name was Fu Ling, one of the wanderers rescued from the mosquito tribe. She had a round face, favored by the tribe's people, and showed 2 cute canine teeth when she smiled. Her body was very strong, her skin was a wheat color, and her long hair was casually tied at the back with a grass rope. Go Tong looked up, glanced at Fu Ling, then lowered his head again to grind the stone spear, though his movements were noticeably less natural than before. Go Tong knew this woman. She was particularly skilled at sewing beast-hide clothing, and even the leaders praised her sewing skills. Leader Go Tong, do you find me unattractive? Fu Ling sat boldly beside Go Tong, helping him stir the food in the pottery cauldron. Not unattractive. By tribal standards, Fu Ling, with her strong build, was considered extremely beautiful, especially since she was competent in various tasks like sewing beast-hide clothing. Many warriors in the tribe admired Fu Ling, but she had turned them all down. Then why don't you dare to look at me? Who says I don't dare? Provoked by Fu Ling, Go Tong immediately raised his head and looked directly at her. Fu Ling looked into his eyes and said, Leader Go Tong, you always seem gloomy. Why is that? Go Tong lowered his head again and continued grinding the stone spear, saying, I'm not gloomy. Fu Ling thought about it and didn't continue to press him, nor did she keep staring at Go Tong, instead, looking at the flames dancing in the hearth. Have I ever told you about myself? Fu Ling asked. No, Go Tong shook his head. After today's ceremony, I became a real member of the Vine tribe and a one-color warrior. I'm very happy, so I'll tell you some of my past stories. Fu Ling sat next to Go Tong, as if casually chatting, telling stories of what had happened to her. She spoke about her former tribe, those deceased relatives, the days of being kept like livestock by the mosquito tribe, and her confusion and uncertainty upon arriving at the Vine tribe. The flames slowly burned. Go Tong quietly ground the bone spear, while Fu Ling shared bits and pieces of her life, as if in conversation with an old friend. Go Tong gradually relaxed, not as tense as before. Sometimes he would even respond with a word or two, gaining a deeper understanding of Fu Ling. After Fu Ling finished talking about her past, she looked at Go Tong again and said, When I first came to the Vine tribe, I was actually very scared. I didn't know if the Vine tribe would treat us like the mosquito tribe did. But it was you who led people to help build houses for us, gave us food and clothing, making me feel warmth. Go Tong looked up and argued. The leader told us to do it. Fu Ling smiled and said, But the person I saw and remembered was you. Go Tong had nothing to say and continued grinding the stone spear. Fu Ling said, Leader Go Tong, if you're willing, I'll tell the leader right now that I want to live with you. Chapter 168, Go Tong's Love 2. I prepare the sticks, look. Fu Ling took out a stick about a foot long, as thick as a spear shaft. It was clear that this stick had been meticulously polished, with an exceptionally smooth surface. Long ago, the people of the tribe weren't very particular. When a man fancied a woman, or a woman fancied a man, they would prepare a stick and, when the other party wasn't paying attention, knock them out and bring them into a cave, thus accomplishing their desire. But there were significant drawbacks to this method. For instance, when someone was unwilling or uninterested in the other person, they would often make a huge scene upon waking. Many people lacked restraint, even cracking open heads, resulting in numerous fatalities and injuries, causing great headaches for the tribes which, later, as the tribe developed, most people moved out of the caves. Many tribes derived a rule that one could no longer indiscriminately knock people out with sticks. Consent was required. Once both parties reached an agreement, they wouldn't smash heads like before, having to knock them out completely. Gradually, the stick became a symbolic object, often gently tapping the other, who'd cooperatively pretend to faint, allowing everything to proceed smoothly. Goting was already 15. People his age often had children by then, so he naturally understood what this stick symbolized. Fu Ling's straightforwardness left him at a loss for words. Fu Ling didn't pressure him. Instead, her tone softened considerably. Gotung, I know there might be something troubling you. It's okay. As long as you agree, I can face it together with you. Gotung stopped sharpening his stone spear but didn't reply. A flash of disappointment appeared in Fu Ling's eyes. She silently put away the stick and said, "If you're not willing, then let's forget about it, as if I never came." Fu Ling stood up and walked towards the door. Wait. At this moment, Gotung finally called out to her. You agree? Fu Ling turned back, surprised and delighted. Gotung hesitated for a moment and said, Can you give me some time to think it over? Fu Ling nodded. All right, but don't think too long. Okay. Gotung nodded solemnly. Then I'll go now. Fu Ling turned again, her mood already lifted, her footsteps much lighter. After Fu Ling left, Gotung looked at the empty doorway, feeling a tinge of reluctance. He suddenly wanted to ask those who were already married what marriage felt like. In the heart of the western wilderness, Frog Tribe. Chief, a few more giant frogs have died. A warrior hurriedly found Huameng, the Frog Tribe chief, reporting the news of the giant frogs' deaths. Got it, you can leave. Huameng sat in the stone house, weakly waving his hand. The warrior retreated. As of today, 1/3 of the giant frogs in the Frog Tribe had died, most of which couldn't adapt to the increasingly harsh climate. The place where the Frog Tribe lived was suffering more severe desertification since Jiang Xuan's arrival, and rain was even more scarce. Moreover, extreme weather occurred frequently. The Divine Lake, upon which the Frog Tribe depended for survival, had a very low water level. If this continued, drinking water would soon become a significant problem for the Frog Tribe. Those giant frogs couldn't reside in the Divine Lake as they once did. Is migration really the only option? Huameng sighed helplessly. He felt utterly powerless at that moment. The Frog Tribe was too weak. Not only did they lack a living totem god, but there were also very few strong warriors in the tribe. Even as the chief, he was merely a 3-color warrior, relying on his tall stature and 6 stripes painted across his face to intimidate others. If migration happens, he's uncertain the Frog Tribe wouldn't be annihilated halfway. However, if they don't migrate and stay, it would merely be a slow death. Without water, not only the giant frogs, but also the tribe members of Frog Tribe couldn't survive. For a moment, Huameng found himself caught in a dilemma. I should still consult the witch's opinion. After a lot of pondering, Huameng finally got up and walked to the stone house where the Frog Tribe which resided. As he left the stone house, a strong wind carrying plenty of dust blew directly at him, causing him to nearly close his eyes. After the wind passed, Huameng looked up, his expression gloomy. The sky was almost cloudless, the scorching sun a blinding brightness, roasting this land. In the distance, many trees had dried up due to lack of water, and the woods where the Frog Tribe resided were shrinking. The once water-abundant Divine Lake now held little water, becoming a giant pit with numerous giant frogs gathered at the water's edge, clinging to life. Tribe members of the frog tribe either hid in stone houses or in shade under trees to cool down, hunting only in the morning or evening, with few prey available. The entire tribe had a scene of despair. Huameng felt more burdensome, taking one step at a time towards the stone house where the tribes which lived. Inside the stone house, the frog tribe, which was in front of a stone jar filled with water, praying for the frog god's blessing. But their frog god had long been absent, and no matter how he prayed, he received no answer. When Huameng entered the stone house, he patiently waited until the frog tribe which finished praying, opening his eyes in disappointment. Chapter 169, Go Tongue's Love 3. The witch of the frog tribe looked at Huameng and weakly said, "What does the chief want from me?" Huameng said, "Witch, some more giant frogs died today." The witch of the frog tribe was silent for a moment and said, "I know." Huameng continued, "Witch, perhaps we really should decide on the migration of the tribe. If this drought continues, we won't last much longer." The witch of the frog tribe said, "But migration is too dangerous. If something goes wrong on the way, our frog tribe is finished. Isn't it better than waiting here to die?" The witch of the frog tribe's face stiffened. In truth, he didn't want to abandon the divine lake, to give up the place where the tribe had lived for many years. But he knew that although Huameng's words were hard to hear, they were also the truth. Ultimately, the witch of the frog tribe said bitterly, "Let's wait a few more days. If it still doesn't rain, we'll prepare to migrate. Then let's wait a few more days." Huameng left the stone house in disappointment, but he no longer had any hope for the rain. The drought had lasted so long. If it were going to rain, it would have done so already. After leaving the witch's house, Huameng believed that they could no longer rely on the witch and had to rely on himself. So, Huameng gathered a few of the tribe's strongest individuals and asked them to start preparing for the migration. The first thing to prepare was enough weapons, because on the migration path, it's very difficult to replace damaged weapons in time. Next was a large amount of food. Although they could hunt on the way, it was an unstable source, and if they journeyed to a desolate area, everyone would go hungry. Lastly, it was those giant frogs that troubled Huameng greatly. Many giant frogs could not follow the tribe on a long migration because they couldn't withstand the arid environment or endure long walks under such conditions. Only some drought-resistant, tenacious giant frogs could accompany the tribe on their long journey and even help in battles. For example, some ugly but resilient giant frogs, which had very strong vitality and not weak fighting capabilities, some of which were even highly poisonous. The frog tribe frequently used frog poison in both battles and regular hunting. Because their combat strength wasn't great, to catch larger prey, they relied on this method. After much contemplation, Huameng, holding a container made from a gourd-like fruit, took a dozen warriors and walked into the divine lake. From those poisonous frogs that couldn't follow the tribe in migration, they collected a lot of venom, storing it in the container to preserve it for some time. However, over time, the potency of these toxins would gradually diminish until they became ineffective. After collecting the venom, Huameng let the warriors return first, while he sat alone by the divine lake, looking at the pitifully small amount of lake water and the struggling giant frogs. The tribe is going to migrate. You who can't travel far can only stay here. I hope heaven will bring you fortune and a few heavy rains. After saying these words, Huameng felt extremely distressed because he knew that hoping for rain was too unrealistic. Huameng sat for a long time, then got up and walked slowly back to the tribe's dwelling. By now, the sun was setting, and his tall figure, unlike its usual upright stance, appeared hunched. "Forgive me, I really have no other choice." Under the setting sun, Huameng's shadow stretched longer and longer, and a few crystal-clear tears fell onto the scorching ground. Chapter 170, Getting Married. Western Wilderness Frog Tribe. The witch prayed to the water vat for 5 days straight, and each time the water level decreased, he instantly refilled it. Yet after 5 days, not only did it not rain, not a single cloud appeared in the sky. The totem god of the frog tribe remained as unresponsive as ever. He felt completely hopeless. The witch walked out of the stone house, gazing at the parched land, the dried-up divine lake, and blowing dry winds, feeling as though he himself had been dried to a crisp. He slowly walked to the edge of the divine lake, sat under a big tree, and stared blankly at the lake. Ribbit! Beside the divine lake, a giant frog croaked mournfully, then stretched its limbs straight, its body convulsing constantly until it soon died. The witch felt a pang in his heart, but was too powerless to bury the giant frog. At some point, Huameng sat beside the witch, speaking in a deep voice. "Witch, if we continue to stay here, the entire tribe will perish. Only by migrating can we grasp a slim chance of survival." "When will we migrate?" The witch's voice was weary. "Tomorrow morning. Is everything prepared?" "Prepared." "Then, let's migrate." Uttering this sentence seemed to drain his strength, and the witch leaned against the tree, closing his eyes slowly. Huameng, however, had no time to dwell on sorrow. He rose immediately, gathered all the frog tribe people for the final preparations before migration. That night, none in the frog tribe slept well, not knowing what fate lay in wait on the migration path. The next day, at dawn, all the frog tribe members gathered, bringing everything they could carry, ready to set off. Accompanying them were 1/5 of the giant frogs, ones that were more drought-resistant and could travel long distances. As for the rest of the giant frogs, they could only remain here. Huameng took a final look around the tribe, imprinting every plant and stone deeply in his mind. Then, he turned resolutely and shouted, "Move out! Ribbit!" The accompanying giant frogs let out loud croaks and followed Huameng as they hopped away. The witch sat atop a bluish giant frog's back, forcing himself not to look back again. A group of over 500 people, along with over 100 giant frogs, left the tribe where they had lived for years, moving south. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Behind them, the giant frogs left behind seemed to understand their awaiting fate, croaking frantically in the divine lake, but did not follow. Southern Wilderness, Vine Tribe. Goting pondered for 3 days before finally deciding to seek out Jiang Xuan to hear his opinion. "Chief, should I marry Fu Ling?" In the courtyard, Gotung relayed his situation with Fu Ling, anxiously awaiting Jiang Xuan's reply. Jiang Xuan smiled and said, "Let me ask you, do you like her?" "Perhaps a bit. She's quite pretty and capable. How do you feel when you're with her?" "I can't quite say, but chatting feels nice enough." "Do you miss her when you don't see her?" Gotung was silent for a moment, then nodded, "Yes." "Then what are you hesitating for? At some point, you'll have to settle down. Being able to marry someone you like is very fortunate. Tribe members mature early. In other tribes, someone like Gotung would have settled down long ago. Jiang Xuan wouldn't stubbornly insist he wait until 18 because the constitution of tribespeople differs entirely from that of people in Jiang Xuan's past life, so past life notions can't apply blindly. Gaining Jiang Xuan's support, Gotung suddenly felt much more confident. "Since the chief agrees, I'll have Fu Ling move in and live with me." Jiang Xuan nodded. "Getting married is good. I'll have the tribe send you some pottery, clothes, and food. Additionally, I'll ask the witch to officiate a ceremony for you at the altar, witnessing your union under the vine god. Joining as one symbolizes 2 different plants entwining, historically considered a good omen." Really? Upon hearing he could hold a ceremony before the altar, witnessed by the vine god, Gotung was overwhelmed with excitement. "Of course, when the tribe has the capacity, I hope every couple can hold a ceremony at the altar. Then, I'll go prepare." Finished speaking, Gotung hurried off. This matter held immense significance for him. Jiang Xuan chuckled, then sought out Qi Shao to discuss the ceremony arrangements. The Vine tribe was established by the original 5 founders, and now that Gotung was getting married, he certainly couldn't be neglected. Moreover, Jiang Xuan hoped that after marrying, Gotung could draw strength from Fu Ling to overcome psychological shadows. When Jiang Xuan informed Qi Shao of this, she readily agreed. In her view, Gotung, Shi Qiu, Ningxing were just like Jiang Xuan, her brothers, and now that a brother was getting married, she was naturally delighted as a sister. Qi Xiao then laughed and asked, Xian, Gotong is getting married. When will you? From what I hear, a tribesperson named Dong Kuei often visits you. The tribe isn't settled yet. I haven't thought about it yet. Chapter 171, Getting Married Too. Jiang Xuan felt awkward. Clearly it was Gotong's marriage. So why did it involve him? Was it just because they were the same age? But he didn't want to settle down at 15. Qi Xiao smiled lightly without saying much. She respected every decision Jiang Xuan made. Gotong, on the other hand, quickly found Fu Ling, who was working in the field, and called her to a grove nearby. Why are you in such a rush to find me? Fu Ling was still panting heavily. Working under the sun was very tiring, no easier than hunting. There were strands of her black hair clinging to her cheek, wet with sweat. Gotong looked directly into her eyes and said, I have decided. Hearing this, Fu Ling knew what it was about, and she grew nervous and apprehensive. Fu Ling looked into Gotong's eyes, awaiting his answer. Gotong said seriously, I want to start a family with you. In an instant, Fu Ling's face blossomed like a budding flower, gradually opening up. Every eyelash was smiling. Fu Ling hugged Gotong tightly, resting her head on his shoulder, feeling his surging heartbeat and warm body. Gotong's breathing became quicker. It was an experience unlike any he'd ever had, a very wonderful feeling. Of course, Gotong didn't forget the main matter. The chief says we should invite the witch to host a ceremony for us, and the tribespeople will all participate. We will be united in marriage, witnessed by the Vine God and all the members of the Vine tribe. Upon hearing these words, Fu Ling was incredulous. Am I dreaming? Of course not. The chief also said the tribe will give us pottery, clothes, and food to celebrate our marriage. Fu Ling hugged Gotong tightly. Every word he said was something she never dared to hope for. This happiness seemed to have descended from heaven, causing her to feel dizzy, as if she were on cloud 9. After a long time, Fu Ling let go and said, There's still work to do in the field. I'll go finish it. Fu Ling felt the tribe was incredibly kind to them. She had nothing else to repay but to work harder and do more for the tribe. Gotong watched her back, smiling. Soon after, he shared the news with Shi Qiu, Ningxing, and others. Everyone congratulated Gotong. On the morning of March 29th, Gotong and Fu Ling's wedding ceremony officially began in front of the altar. To create a better atmosphere, Jiang Xuan led people to gather a large number of red flowers and place them on both sides of the altar, making it very beautiful. Some offerings were also placed on the altar for the Vine God to enjoy. All members of the Vine tribe came, gathering lively together. Soon, Gotong and Fu Ling, dressed meticulously, walked to the altar, both excited, nervous, and full of anticipation. Come on, everyone, quiet down. It's about to start. Jiang Xuan stood beside the altar and waved his hand, slowly quieting the crowd. Qi Xiao walked up the altar slowly, first chanting a spell to invite the gods and let the Vine God enjoy the offerings on the altar, then chanting a blessing spell. This time, the divine vine specially lowered 2 intertwined vines and sprinkled some green liquid, which merged into the bodies of the two. Gotong and Fu Ling felt a surge of vitality in them, making them even more radiant. Thank you, Vine God. Qi Xiao bowed in gratitude and then winked at Jiang Xuan. Jiang Xuan immediately stepped forward and told everyone, I've decided that from now on, every tribe member getting married should have a formal wedding ceremony, starting now with Gotong and Fu Ling. Jiang Xuan briefly explained to Gotong and Fu Ling how the ceremony should be, and they nodded nervously. Okay, let's start the ceremony. Jiang Xuan loudly proclaimed, First bow to heaven and earth. Gotong and Fu Ling, following Jiang Xuan's instructions, bowed towards the sky. The Vine tribe members found the ceremony refreshing, and they noted the procedure, intending to do the same when it was their turn to marry. Jiang Xuan continued, Second bow to the Vine God. The two bowed to Stone Mountain. The divine vine on the mountain glowed slightly, and its vines danced gently, clearly accepting the ceremony. Husband and wife bow to each other. Go Tung and Fu Ling bowed to each other. An extraordinarily novel and sacred experience. Send them to the bridal chamber. After Jiang Xuan finished, he joined everyone in merrily escorting the newlyweds to their residence. Next up was the feast that everyone enjoyed. With more food available now, Jiang Xuan had people cook more than usual, so everyone could eat happily and heartily. Throughout the day, and for a long time afterward, the members of the Vine tribe were keenly interested in this new marriage ceremony. Many fantasized about having such a ceremony when they married, especially the more sentimental women, who already looked forward to their own wedding ceremonies. The next day, Jiang Xuan saw Go Tung again, noticing his somewhat awkward walking and the slight dark circles under his eyes, yet his spirit was very good, sweeping away his previous lethargy. He earnestly patted Go Tung's shoulder and said, "Young man, you must learn to exercise restraint." Go Tung blushed, not knowing how to respond. But behind him, Fu Ling retorted boldly, "Chief, we should hurry up and have children to increase the tribe's population." Jiang Xuan was left speechless, only able to watch as Go Tung was pulled away by Fu Ling. Of course, the two would still dutifully complete their tasks, even doing better than other tribe members. Grateful to the tribe, they could only work harder, have more children, to repay the tribe. As for Jiang Xuan, he returned gloomily to his yard, muttering, even if they need to have kids quickly, they should still have limits. Nearby, Tang Yuan didn't understand what he was saying, flapped its wings, and flew to the distant mountains and forests to hunt. Before anyone realized, the hot summer arrived. The western wilderness grew increasingly dry, with land turning to desert, while the southern wilderness saw frequent thunderstorms, leading to a flood threat. Boom! Crash! The sky was filled with lightning and thunder, and torrential rain poured endlessly. Jiang Xuan, wearing a raincoat woven from reed leaves, braved the rain, and along with Song and others, dug earth and stone, building dikes to prevent river water from flooding back into the creek. Everyone, put more effort. We can't let our crops be washed away. In the Feiyu River, the water level kept rising rapidly, and the fields near the river showed signs of flooding. This was precisely why Jiang Xuan led everyone to work tirelessly in the rain, hoping to block the river water and protect these crops. This was one of the downsides of living by the river. While most fields wouldn't flood, losing some could make the Vine tribe members heartbroken. After all, these crops were their hard work. Thanks to over 500 people's efforts in the rain, a long dike soon appeared at the field's edge, isolating the flooding river and creek water. Fearing the river water would continue rising, they kept heightening and strengthening the dike, working for the whole day. By evening, the rain finally lessened, and when everyone returned to the settlement, exhausted, they could finally take off their soaked clothes and dry by the fire pit. Luckily, the tribe members were used to getting wet, and their robust health meant they wouldn't easily catch a cold or fever. Roar! Just as Jiang Xuan was about to cook some food, a shocking beast roar came from the Feiyu River. This roar, like a dull thunder, was one he'd never heard before. Jiang Xuan quickly ran out, standing on a boulder outside the bamboo forest, looking far away at the Feiyu River. Two giant water beasts appeared on the river surface, partially above water, but black and hard to make out. But after these water beasts emerged, Jiang Xuan felt a chill, clearly indicating their strength far surpassed his. No wonder many tribes fear the water. It seems the dangers inside it are no less than those in the forest. Fortunately, the two giant water beasts did not come ashore, and instead went downstream along the Feiyu River, disappearing from Jiang Xuan's sight soon after. Jiang Xuan returned to the house and cooked some food. Due to the continuous rain, many bugs sought higher ground to avoid water. On the outer walls of Jiang Xuan's house, many bugs climbed upward. Jiang Xuan wasn't bothered. He caught some edible large bugs and roasted them to eat. A little rainy day treat. Chapter 172, Jackal Invasion. Southwest of the Vine tribe, within a section of the primitive forest, Shurchio was leading hunting team 2 to capture buffalo calves. The chief said that the buffalo calves are very important to the tribe. If they can be captured and tamed, the tribe will be able to cultivate more land and obtain more food in the future. No one dared to be careless when it came to the issue of food, so Shurchio was determined to capture the buffalo calves. They targeted a herd of buffalo, about 20 in number, with 5 being calves. After the spring sacrifice, Hunting Team 2 now had 50 warriors. Hunting 20 buffalo was clearly beyond their capabilities. However, there was still a way. If they could find a way to scare the herd into running, the slower-running buffalo calves would have a chance to be captured. This was a common tactic used by many predators. Shurchio gathered everyone together. Later, first set up traps and trip wires on the path the buffalo herd will advance. Then send 10 people around to scare the buffalo. Once the herd starts running, they will definitely get entangled in the traps and trip wires. At that time, we'll use the vine nets to seize the opportunity to capture those calves. Does everyone understand? Everyone nodded in agreement. Good. Let's start setting up the traps and trip wires. At Shurchio's command, everyone immediately went around to the front of the buffalo herd and began setting up numerous trip wires and traps. Although the trip wires and traps could not stop these buffalo, nor was it easy to cause them any harm, they could slow down some of the buffalo, causing them to fall behind the herd. After the traps and trip wires were set, 10 warriors from Hunting Team 2 quietly ran to the left and right sides of the buffalo herd, as well as behind it, climbing into the dense trees. Soon after, 3 of the warriors took out hollowed beast horns with cut ends and blew into them fiercely. Woo-woo! The sound of the beast horns was very loud, sounding like the roar of a giant beast, extremely terrifying. The other warriors made the customary hunting calls, making it sound as if there were many people. Moo! Hearing these sounds, the buffalo herd, thinking a group of predators was attacking, was immediately frightened and started running forward frantically. Quick, quick, quick! Get ready to capture the calves. Shurchio shouted loudly, and then climbed a tree with a good view, knocking an arrow and aiming at the trap area. Whoosh! A buffalo triggered a trap, and a large log hanging in the air immediately swung towards it. Thud! The log struck the buffalo's head, dazing it, and after running a few more steps, its pace became staggered. Whiz! At this moment, a sharp arrow flew swiftly and pierced the hip of the large buffalo. Moo! The large buffalo let out a miserable cry, then charged forward madly, only to be tripped by the trip wire. Other buffalo also triggered many traps and trip wires, panicking the entire herd and making them run faster. Under normal circumstances, the herd would protect the calves in the middle to avoid predator attacks. But in times like this, all the adult buffalo only cared about escaping for their lives, neglecting the calves. The calves couldn't run as fast as the adult buffalo, making them more likely to be caught by the traps in the trap area. Whoosh! A calf stepped into a snare trap, with one hoof getting tangled and pulling it toward a tree. Quick, 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 catch it! The nearby warriors were excited, nimbly jumping forward through the trees and landing next to the buffalo, immediately netting it with a vine net. Moo! The buffalo calf struggled frantically in the vine net, but it was no use. It couldn't escape at all. 2 warriors pressed the buffalo calf onto the ground, tied its 4 hooves, and with the restraint of the vine net, it was utterly unable to escape. Besides this buffalo calf, 2 other buffalo calves were also tackled and captured by the hunting team's prepared warriors. Out of 5 buffalo calves, 3 were caught and 2 escaped. This was considered quite a successful hunt. In addition to the calves, the large buffalo wounded by Shurchio's arrow was also captured. It was a cow. After the capture operation ended, Shurchio came down from the tree and joined the warriors of Hunting Team 2. He first inspected the large adult buffalo and then the 3 calves, nodding with satisfaction, saying, "Let's carry these 4 buffalo back to the tribe." This capture went unexpectedly smoothly, putting Shurchio in a good mood. The warriors of Hunting Team 2 were also very happy because they had heard that these buffalo calves, once brought back to the tribe, could be very useful. According to the chief, These buffalo calves could be used for plowing fields. Although they did not understand what plowing fields meant, they knew it would benefit the tribe. The warriors constructed 4 racks, placed the buffalo tied with vine nets on them, and carried them back. Due to their large numbers, most regular predatory beasts in the forest would avoid them and not attack. However, while general predators abstained, it didn't mean members of other tribes would. The jackal tribe, which had recently migrated to this area, was aggressively expanding, incorporating many forests into their hunting grounds. The forest where Shi and his group captured the buffalo was also within the jackal tribe's activity range. A hunting team of over 200 warriors from the jackal tribe happened to be in the nearby forest. Chapter 173, Wolf Invasion 2. When they heard the commotion from the hunt over here, they immediately rushed over and pursued the Vine tribe's hunting team too, who were on their way back. Because they were carrying wild cattle, the progress of hunting team 2 was relatively slow, making it easy for the jackal tribe's hunting team to catch up. The jackal tribe weren't fools and didn't immediately strike after catching up. In the southern wilderness, there were not only small tribes, but also medium and large tribes. If they provoked an enemy they shouldn't, even the mighty jackal tribe couldn't bear it. When they discovered that the Vine tribe's hunting team consisted of only 50 people and was relatively weak, they concluded it was a small tribe, so they no longer hid their fangs. "Oh, woo!" One jackal howled, signaling the charge. "Woo, woo, woo." Subsequently, over 200 jackal tribe warriors, either riding jackals or sprinting, emitted strange howling sounds as they charged toward Shi and the others. "This is bad, run!" Shi shouted, and the warriors of hunting team 2 also heard the howling wolves, making their hearts tremble. They immediately quickened their pace. But the speed of those jackals running was too fast. They were carrying wild cattle. How could they possibly outrun them? Although Shi felt reluctant, he decisively shouted, "Drop the prey!" The warriors of hunting team 2 also knew the situation was urgent. They immediately dropped the 4 wild cattle and ran with all their might, trying to shake off the pursuing jackal tribe's hunting team. After dropping the wild cattle, their speed increased significantly. But if those jackals were determined to chase them, it would still be difficult for them to escape. Fortunately, the jackal tribe's hunting team, upon discovering the 4 large wild cattle, temporarily stopped and joyfully gathered them up. "Their prey is all here. Don't chase." The leader of the jackal tribe's hunting team ordered, and the running jackals all stopped, ceasing the pursuit. The hunting team leader shouted into the forest ahead, "No matter which tribe you are from now on, this forest is the jackal tribe's hunting ground. If you dare to come again, we'll kill you all." Before departing, the jackal tribe's witch had specially admonished him, as the jackal tribe had just arrived in the southern wilderness. It was best not to create too many enemies. The leader didn't dare disobey the witch's order. Otherwise, with the bloodthirstiness of the jackal tribe warriors, they would certainly have pursued until they killed everyone. "Picked up 4 heads of prey for nothing. Let's go back," the leader of the hunting team said cheerfully, riding the tall jackal back, while some of the jackal tribe warriors carried the 4 wild cattle and followed. On the other side, the warriors of the Vine tribe's hunting team too were not so happy. Standing on a tall tree, Shi watched the jackal tribe people leave, his face turning steel blue. He climbed down from the tree and joined the hunting team warriors. A warrior angrily asked, "Leader, the jackal tribe people took our prey. What should we do?" The other warriors were also very angry. They had caught the wild cattle calves with great difficulty, had even captured an adult cow, and were just about to bring them back, only to have them snatched away. They all knew how important these wild cattle calves were to the Vine tribe. Shi, naturally, knew even better. However, although Shi was angry, he had not lost his reason. Shi said expressionlessly, "Go back. Just go back like this." A warrior felt indignant. "With our few numbers, even if we all die fighting, we can't beat them." Shi continued, "Go back and tell the leader about this, and let the leader decide." Helplessly, the warriors of hunting team 2 could only head back, all feeling very low. When they returned to the tribe, Shurqiu immediately informed Jiang Xuan of the situation. The jackal tribe took your wild cattle. Upon hearing this, Jiang Xuan's brow furrowed deeply. He had long guessed that the Vine tribe's location was unfavorable and that the future would not be peaceful. But he did not expect troubles to come one after another, giving no chance to catch a breath. Jiang Xuan had seen the strength of the jackal tribe. The rock sheep tribe caused their downfall. The few small tribes near the rock sheep tribe were also annihilated by them. Whether in population, combat power, or even the totem god, this jackal tribe was extremely formidable. Now that the jackal tribe had appeared southwest of the Vine tribe and friction had occurred, peaceful development for the Vine tribe was completely impossible. Chief, what should we do now? Shurqiu couldn't swallow his anger. Jiang Xuan pondered for a moment and said, "You go back and calm the warriors of the hunting team first. I need to discuss this matter with the witch." "All right then." Shurqiu, helpless, had to go back and wait for news. Meanwhile, Jiang Xuan found Qi Xiao and told her about the ordeal of Hunting Team 2. "What do you need me to do?" Qi Xiao asked. Jiang Xuan said, "Sister, do you have a way for me to communicate directly with the Vine God?" Qi Xiao thought for a moment and said, "I'll ask the Vine God." After speaking, Qi Xiao closed her eyes and began communicating with the Vine God. In no time, Qi Xiao reopened her eyes and said, "The Vine God agreed." "How can I communicate with the Vine God?" Jiang Xuan asked. Qi Xiao pointed at Stone Mountain and said, "Look, the Vine God is here." On Stone Mountain, a vine quickly extended down towards Jiang Xuan, drooping over his head and casting a divine light. Qi Xiao guided, "Close your eyes, relax, nothing will happen." Following her words, Jiang Xuan closed his eyes, and soon, a grand voice resounded in his mind, accompanied by a green divine light, enveloping a miniaturized divine vine. "Xian, what do you need from me?" The Vine God's voice was neutral, unlike a human voice, making it indistinguishable whether it was male or female, yet clearly audible. Jiang Xuan said, "Vine God, a jackal tribe has appeared southwest of the tribe, more ferocious than the mosquito tribe ever was." Jiang Xuan recounted the previous events at the rock sheep tribe, what he had seen for himself, and today's incident of the hunting team's prey being taken. "What do you plan to do?" the Vine God asked. Jiang Xuan replied, "Since they've bullied us, we definitely can't swallow our pride, but we also can't fight them directly, as our warriors are still few." After some thought, Jiang Xuan said, "My plan is to incite discord between them and the Crow tribe, preferably to make them fight each other, so they won't bother us. However, doing this carries risks. If the scheme is exposed, both the Jackal tribe and the Crow tribe might attack the Vine tribe." Jiang Xuan cautiously added, "So, I wanted to ask if the Vine God can withstand the guardian gods of both the Jackal tribe and the Crow tribe?" Within the light orb, the Vine God replied in a calm tone, "Don't worry, they're just small tribes, let them come." Having received the Vine God's answer, Jiang Xuan was thrilled because he heard immense confidence in the Vine God's words, and it was confidence grounded in power. "Since the Vine God has said so, I'll proceed with my plan. Any other questions?" "No, thank you, Vine God." After the conversation ended, the divine vine within the light orb lingered in Jiang Xuan's mind as he slowly opened his eyes. Beside him, Qi Xiao waited and, seeing Jiang Xuan, asked, "Got any answers?" Jiang Xuan nodded. "The Vine God gave me a reply." "Good. Let me know if you need anything else from me in the future." "All right." Qi Xiao didn't ask Jiang Xuan what exactly he discussed with the Vine God, as she had absolute trust in Jiang Xuan. Jiang Xuan discussed his ideas with Qi Xiao, then left her courtyard and found the warriors of Hunting Team 2 to console them, promising that the Jackal tribe would pay the price. Subsequently, Jiang Xuan began pondering how to make the Crow tribe and the Jackal tribe fight each other directly. At this moment, Jiang Xuan was unaware that the Crow tribe and the Jackal tribe had already fought a battle, and animosity had already formed between them. After pondering throughout the night, Jiang Xuan still decided to first observe the situation of the Crow tribe and the Jackal tribe, and then look for an opportunity to incite them. This time, He didn't ask the old witch to borrow the giant eagle. Instead, he set off alone, riding Tang Yuan. On the last trip to the mountain turtle tribe, Tang Yuan had already proven its long-distance flying capability. Since this was the case, Jiang Xuan didn't want to trouble or rely on the old witch often. Many times, in the end, a person must rely on themselves. Chapter 174, Framing and Blame. Yi. In the southwestern sky of the Vine tribe, Tang Yuan chirped excitedly, flying very fast. Under the sunlight, Tang Yuan's purple feathers gleamed brightly and beautifully. On Tang Yuan's back, Jiang Xuan felt the whistling wind by his ears and was surprised to find that Tang Yuan's flying speed was actually no slower than a giant eagle. What kind of species is this raptor? To be able to fly so fast before even reaching adulthood. Once it matures, won't its flight speed surpass most birds? Thinking of this, Jiang Xuan felt like he had found a treasure. Half a day later, after some searching, Jiang Xuan finally found the new residence of the jackal tribe. He had Tang Yuan land on the mountaintop near that forest, then descended alone, stealthily approaching the jackal tribe to observe them from a distance. Jiang Xuan discovered that the jackal tribe had cut down a large number of trees and built hundreds of simple wooden houses for the tribe's people and those jackals to live in. There was a giant wooden house in the center, presumably for the jackal god. At the same time, the jackal tribe was building a palisade wall, planning to enclose the entire tribe to protect their people. The palisade structure was very simple, like a large fence, and was easy to construct. Of course, only tribes that were relatively strong qualified to build a palisade wall. Weaker tribes couldn't spare the manpower and time to build one at all. Oh, there's a totem pattern here. Jiang Xuan circled around the jackal tribe for a while and discovered a large tree with the jackal tribe's totem pattern carved on it. The jackal tribe's totem pattern was red, depicting a rather abstract jackal with two prominent fangs and eyes. Better note this down, it might be useful later. Jiang Xuan carefully recorded the totem pattern and even took out a black charcoal stick from his beast hide bag to sketch the totem pattern on a piece of beast hide. After noting down the totem pattern, Jiang Xuan crouched on different trees to carefully observe the jackal tribe situation, then quietly left. Back on the mountaintop, Jiang Xuan ate a little before setting out again on Tang Yuan. The Crow tribe was relatively easy to find because their new residence was where the Mosquito tribe used to live. Jiang Xuan rode Tang Yuan to the Great Swamp, and when they were still a distance from the Crow tribe, he had Tang Yuan land on a hill, choosing to go on foot. Because the Crow tribe had many crows flying back and forth, if he boldly flew over on Tang Yuan, he would surely be discovered. Jiang Xuan said, "Wait here for me. You can catch some prey to eat, but don't go far, understand?" Tang Yuan nodded to show that he understood. Jiang Xuan grabbed his bone spear, turned around, and descended the mountain, quickly blending into the vast primitive forest. Tang Yuan tilted his head in thought, then spread his wings and flew into the sky to find food nearby. Jiang Xuan moved swiftly through the forest. His footsteps were incredibly light, leaving hardly any traces on the ground. Caw, caw, caw. As he neared the Crow tribe, large crows occasionally began flying overhead in the sky, making unpleasant sounds. Jiang Xuan became even more cautious in hiding, no longer walking on the ground but climbing up into the trees. Like a monkey, he swung from branch to switch trees from time to time. Since the dense foliage provided cover, although this method made some noise, it didn't attract attention. There were too many animals crawling around the trees anyway, and most warriors were used to it. Finally, Jiang Xuan arrived at a low hill beside the Crow tribe, where he could see the entire settlement of the Crow tribe. Unlike the Jackal tribe, who liked to chop trees to build houses, the Crow tribe would chop trees, but not densely, as they needed to leave enough large trees for the big crows to build nests on. Additionally, the Crow tribe built some tree houses on the thick branches of large trees to sleep in at night. Built pretty quickly, Jiang Xuan hid in a large tree, carefully observing the entire situation of the Crow tribe, pondering over what method to use if attacking them. The first thing he thought of was a fire attack. Structures like those wooden houses and tree houses would become dry over time and only need a few spots ignited to quickly blaze into a towering fire, reducing the entire Crow tribe to ashes. However, the area was surrounded by dense forest. Once a major fire broke out, not only would the Crow tribe suffer, who knows how far the blaze might spread. Once a fire starts, unless there's a river or rain, it will continue spreading and potentially affect several or even dozens of tribes. Because of this, you rarely saw fire attacks and wars between tribes, as they feared them, and Jiang Xuan also feared them. Apart from fire attacks, the only options left were battle tactics like ambushes. Better let the Jackal tribe fight. Jiang Xuan searched the outskirts of the Crow tribe for a while and found a carving of their totem pattern. Many tribes like to carve their totem patterns all around their living area to assert their territorial ownership. Therefore, Jiang Xuan easily acquired the Crow tribe's totem pattern. He used the charcoal stick again and copied the Crow tribe's totem pattern on a beast hide. Then, he began his series of operations. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Jiang Xuan took out his stone knife and messily scraped the Crow tribe's totem pattern, defacing it. Chapter 175. Framing and Slander 2. Then he unfolded the beast hide and drew the Jackal tribe totem pattern, which he had previously copied, next to the Crow tribe totem pattern. He repeated this process in many locations, making it appear as though members of the Jackal tribe had been there. It's important to know that totem patterns are extremely sacred to the people of the tribes. If someone defaces a tribe's totem pattern on their land and engraves another tribe's totem pattern, who would tolerate that? However, to ensure that the two tribes would indeed clash, Jiang Xuan needed to make the Crow tribe even angrier. He spent some time finding two Crow tribe warriors who were gathering wild vegetables in the forest. Then, holding the stone knife, he quietly approached them from above in a tree. When he reached the top of one of them, Jiang Xuan slowly climbed down the tree, making almost no noise. Then, he held the stone knife and quietly came up behind the Crow tribe warrior. Jiang Xuan covered his mouth and swiftly slit his throat with the stone knife. Blood spurted out instantly, and this time Jiang Xuan no longer appeared disturbed by it. The Crow tribe warrior's eyes opened wide, and he struggled frantically for a moment before gradually losing strength. Jiang Xuan gently laid the warrior down, then walked toward the other one. The two warriors were digging wild vegetables together and weren't far apart. Why does it smell like blood? The Crow tribe warrior had a keen sense of smell. As he was digging wild vegetables, he detected a strong scent of blood. Instinctively sensing something was wrong, he turned to look. However, by the time he turned around, it was too late. Jiang Xuan was already behind him. Seeing him turn, Jiang Xuan dashed forward, pinned him to the ground, covered his mouth, and slit his throat. Gurgle, gurgle. The Crow tribe warrior never imagined he would be killed near the relatively safe outskirts of his tribe. After killing two people, Jiang Xuan remained unfazed, which was something he never thought he could do before. Perhaps this is the change the environment brings to people. Jiang Xuan then dipped into the blood at the murder scene and drew two Jackal tribe totem patterns on a nearby tree. This should make the Crow tribe angry enough, right? After finishing the totem patterns, Jiang Xuan wiped the blood off his fingers and quickly disappeared. It didn't take long before a patrol of Crow tribe warriors discovered the defiled totem patterns on the tree and the Jackal tribe totem patterns drawn next to them. Damn it, someone from the Jackal tribe has been here. Find him. The Crow tribe warriors, gritting their teeth in anger, began searching the forest for the Jackal tribe members. However, they didn't find anyone from the Jackal tribe, but instead stumbled upon two corpses of their tribe members and the Jackal tribe totem patterns drawn in blood on the tree. Quick, report to the leader. Having tribe members killed, especially near their own territory, was an extremely serious matter. The Crow tribe warriors were not only furious, but also felt an indescribable fear, as no one knew how many Jackal tribe members had come. Soon, the leader of the Crow tribe arrived at the forest with a large number of warriors and saw the corpses on the ground. Damn Jackal tribe! The Crow tribe leader was furious beyond measure. He shouted, "Bring the giant crows, find them. I want them chopped up and roasted." Caw, caw, caw. Countless large crows were dispatched by the Crow tribe, assisting the Crow tribe warriors as they desperately searched the surrounding forest. But their efforts were destined to be in vain, because Jiang Xuan had already ridden Tang Yuan and flown far away. Yet, he didn't return to the Vine tribe, but instead went to the Jackal tribe and almost replicated the operation he performed at the Crow tribe. Moreover, this time he also slaughtered 2 fierce jackals. After drawing the Crow tribe totem pattern in blood, he muttered, "The 2 tribes shouldn't verify the truth of this, right?" Jiang Xuan thought for a moment and deemed it unlikely, because such events would certainly ignite fury in both tribes. How could they calmly sit down to discuss it when they meet? They would likely fight immediately. Let's go home. After finishing everything, night was about to fall. Jiang Xuan rode Tang Yuan and vanished into the vast night. While he left, the Jackal tribe was in an uproar. The Jackal tribe, known for their ferocity among the smaller tribes in the western wilderness, had always bullied other tribes and never suffered such humiliation from them. Furthermore, they had previously fought with the Crow tribe, and their grievances with each other ran deep, now made deeper. The Jackal tribe leader shouted, "We must kill all these damn crows." The people of the Jackal tribe were incited to the point where they wished to charge over immediately and wipe out the Crow tribe overnight. However, there were many clear-headed individuals in the Jackal tribe who knew that the Crow tribe's strength was not much weaker than theirs, and conquering them quickly was impossible. Nevertheless, the feud must be avenged. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to face their tribe members and the Jackal god. Thus, the Jackal tribe needed to prepare thoroughly before engaging in another battle with the Crow tribe. They didn't realize that the Crow tribe was thinking the same thing. Returning to Jiang Xuan, after arriving at his courtyard late at night, he ate a little but had no desire to sleep. He kept pondering what consequences his actions might bring. In the ideal scenario, the Crow tribe and Jackal tribe would go to war, leading to the destruction of one tribe and the severe weakening of the other.